So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, in typical fashion, this is kind of conversations are always on the roll, you know, from starting out there and just kind of move it in here. So, welcome to the Aging Arborist podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
we
it's funny because I mean, I have to go through in my head sometimes. Like I know Rick was episode 10.
Yes. Yeah.
But sometimes I have to almost like count in my head that, like, where are we?
I lost count. I did exactly what you did. Rick Hughes is number 10.
Yeah.
Boom.
It kind of puts like a stake in the ground of like, whoa, we made it to 10 episodes. Okay. Yeah. It was cool because when we started, we really didn't even know. We were talking about it this morning. We had like no real attachment to outcome. We just knew we wanted to do this and have conversations with people and kind of sit down and here we are. Like next time will be a year and it's just been like a vapor. So we're grateful that you're here with us. This is our friend Glenn Pearson. I don't remember you don't remember what episode Todd was, do you? Back a ways.
I think he was 2. I think you did Mark.
Oh,
2 or 3.
Yeah, he was 2.
3.
No, he was. It was after Mark Chisholm. Correct.
Ben says 3.
I think it was 3.
I kind of trust Ben.
I think it was 3. You know why? Because he and I were episode 1.
Yes, there we go.
So he was the second guest, but the third show.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're all right.
Yeah.
Is that fair, Ben?
Yeah.
Good.
So anyway, yeah, Glenn is Todd's brother. And listen, you know, for those of you listening and watching, you know, we're trying to do these in person. Mm-hmm. So we try to grab folks that are sort of in our circle that we have connections with. And we're starting inward, I would say it's fair to say. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of like moving out. You know, a lot of people have been asking about, you know, can we come on? How do we come on? I mean, we're only doing one a month because we're both super busy, you know. We just have a list that we're working down and we're kind of adding as we go and just moving through what we can do locally. We just like the interaction of sitting across from somebody and having a conversation.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where things are currently. So yeah, welcome to episode 11. And I got to make sure I don't call you Todd Pearson.
Yeah.
You know, so it's Glenn.
That's all right.
Glenn
we get confused all the time. We have another brother, Brett.
Yeah.
And me and him are closer in age. But
okay.
Sometimes people, you know, they haven't seen in years, will see us in the store and just pretend we're them. It's easier that way.
Interesting.
Like, how's Dawson? He's great. He's really good. It's good seeing you.
That's awesome. So how many of you are there that work for Forest Glen? Like siblings? Like
so it's the 4 brothers. There's 7 of us in total.
Oh.
I'm the youngest of 7.
I did not know that.
All right. Well, this podcast just took on a whole. Like I got questions, and I'm like, all right, let's start someplace else. So you're the baby. That's great. So you're the one that like gets away with murder and
the kind of But by the time like I came along, my parents were just tired.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like I've seen it all. I don't care.
Listen, I only have 3. But there's a lot of distance between. So Michaela, my oldest, and Mason, my youngest, there's 9 years between them. Yeah. And I was 40 when Mason was born. And I was already tired too. So
yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. So there's 7 total. So boys, girls?
3 girls, 4 boys.
Okay. Interesting. And there's what, 3? You said 3 of you in the business?
4.
Oh, 4.
Technically. So it's me, Todd, and Brett, and then our other brother. He's a little more special needs. Okay. And he's kind of the shop help. Okay. Gets the trucks going in the morning.
Cool.
Does some farm stuff, firewood.
Nice. Yeah. So I just want to. I was going to say I just want to kind of like stay on that vibe because I'm curious. I want to know a couple things about that because I wanted to break into the family side of it. So we're already here. We might as well just. Yeah. What was the genesis of that in terms of? So Todd's the official owner. Like he started it, yeah. And then how were the invitations made to get all of you guys in? Was it because you were younger and he was like, "Hey, come work for me"? And then like, how did that pecking order of the brothers happen? And then I also down the road want to get into like how it is working with siblings, challenges, and because we have a couple folks, you know, like the Chisholms, Mark and Steve work together. They have wives involved and different things, daughters, you know, so there's that family dynamic. So Todd started it, and then how did you guys get involved?
So Todd started tree work when I was like, I don't know, maybe 2. So he was always doing tree work.
Okay.
And then he started his own company. I think it was 2007. It was officially started. And around the same time, I was 20. I got myself in trouble, lost the license. Was like, hey, Todd, I need a job. Can you pick me up for it?
Yeah.
And I was doing a couple days a week and instantly fell in love with it. I was working at a body shop at the time. So I was going to the same place every day, inside, working with chemicals. First time I ever had a headache was doing body work.
Wow.
It's just all chemicals. And then staring at a door panel for like 2 days, you know, just like grinding away. And then I got to
literally grinding.
Literally.
Literally, exactly. Yeah, but well, it's cool that you said that because Rick Hughes has the same origin essentially with being like inside of a building. He was machinist, right? Yeah. Machinist, and then you were staring at a door panel for 2 days. So it was interesting, just the parallel of having the same, like, I cannot be in this box anymore. I need something. So
yeah,
it's cool.
Absolutely. And tree work gives you that instant gratification. You know, it's like you drop a tree, something happened. You rake a lawn, it looks great. You blow a driveway, it's just like, but body work, it's like, you're not going to see like anything for 3 months. And when it's done, it's really cool, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good though. That taught me attention to detail.
The body work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
Like fit and finish.
Yeah.
So how long, so you get in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you get in there, you start doing tree work, and you realize pretty quickly that you liked it. And I know Todd was in it for a good long while, and I know Todd's origin story, and I've known Todd for 25 years, and we competed and stuff. How long before that you were in you hit the ground, you were doing groundwork, learning all the things. How long before you started to ascend trees and get in trees?
It was probably a solid year before I got up a tree. I remember my first tree, and it was a little like a pine or something. So it was a ladder. I remember how annoying it was that I had to stay tied in the whole time. It's like, can I just like climb like the 20 feet I have to do and then tie in? But it was all part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm actually scared of heights. So that was another battle for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Learning to trust your gear.
Yeah.
Gear in the trees.
Yep.
Sandy was a big turning point on that.
Okay.
It's like basically if that tree is standing, it's safe. Because every defect was broken during Sandy, if not whole trees.
Yeah. That's true. No, I definitely. For the listeners, you'll break down with Sandy, because you say Sandy.
Superstorm Sandy. That was October 2012.
Was it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It was, a hurricane made a beeline from the ocean in, and all the trees that are used to that wind going east got it going west, and it was just absolute devastation.
You guys had a whole lot more of it up north. Down here, we had sort of the tail end and along the shore points, which from here is due east about an hour and 20, depending. But we did some cleanup work. And then did some like volunteer work with Samaritan's Purse, like just going and helping people get out of homes and stuff. But that was hardcore.
It was devastation.
Now you're further inland. Did you have it up there?
No, we got hammered.
Oh yeah.
I work for the municipality, so we worked for 21 days straight. From normal start time would be 7, but we went with sunlight to sundown. Even sometimes having to have the police bring out their floodlights to hold the lights on to get the trees off houses and stuff, using all the contractors that had cranes. So, but just we had, the roll-off companies fire department, police department, bringing them in as laborers to get all the dump containers on every street, just stack them and just take them out. I mean, it was one of, it was mayhem. It was just like
it was mayhem.
Yeah,
I remember going up there and like all the Wawas and stuff not having fuel.
Yep.
Yeah, they told us like if you're going in, come in fueled up and bring extra fuel with you because we could get it down here, and local folks up all along there were coming south to get fuel.
Yeah. It was wild.
Everything was closed. I remember the one day it's like our guy came in and I think he brought like Taco Bell at like 10 o'clock, and it was like, great, we got something to eat because nothing was even open.
It was nuts, and it took them a while to get the infrastructure back up.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like to touch on that fear thing because I have sort of a natural reverential fear of heights too, that I to this day, 40 whatever years in, still have to contend with it. Is that kind of where you're at too?
Yeah. I mean, you immediately go to that worst case scenario,
right?
But like one thing is like, I don't want to ride roller coasters anymore. Like after this, it's like the last time I went up, it was probably like 10 years ago since I've done it. And it's like, you're going up, you're looking around, and it's like, that is a lot of bolts. Who's checking them? They're not marked. Like,
interesting.
I don't know. It's like everyone you see there is like juvenile delinquents,
Right. Some are help, good. Especially like we go down along the shore points down to Wildwood and stuff, and
that's probably even worse.
That's what I'm saying. They sit all winter like exposed, whatever. Did they do their due diligence and like you're saying, snug everything? And
we all know that there's different types of workers. So what type of worker is expecting those bolts, rise, and this and that? And I get it. I think it's which me well enough. My brain goes into the whole thing of that is the perfect example of things that you can control and things that you cannot control, which I would imagine is kind of the whole fear of heights kind of a thing. Just for me personally, I come from the opposite end to where I kind of, we talked about this, but I actually, for lack of better words, didn't care about it because I needed something. So that's the side I come from, is that I did all my due diligence to make sure I have what I need, and then I go for it. And if at that point, it sounds bad, but if at that point things don't work out well, I know I did the best I could at that point. And that's good enough. That's surrendering to the idea that I controlling the uncontrollable. So that's for me. But I don't know how if that ever happens for you guys. Like, are you able to get to that point with fear of heights and be like, do these check marks and then be like, okay, I there's nothing else to check off?
Well, I'm also a thrill seeker, so that's the other end of it.
Say it again.
I'm also a thrill seeker.
Interesting.
So I like scaring myself.
I'm right there. 100%.
Okay.
I've jumped off bridges and I've.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
That was a pastime.
What I say is I contend with it. Like, it's there. I acknowledge it, and I sort of. This is going to sound real, like, I look fear in the eye, but that's kind of, that's. I mean, even when I've grown up snow skiing, and the steeper, the moglier, the more trees on the trail, the better. And I know I'm going to go in full bore, and there's a chance I could get wrecked. But I want to look the fear in the eye, and just when you're done, you're like, yes. And I want Glenn to answer specifically, but I'll take lead on it. Is the answer to your question specifically about, if I check all the boxes and I take care of all those things, can I surrender? The answer is yes.
Okay.
And I have a process, and I'll use one specifically. So if I'm on a spar, say, and I'm either negative rigging or just chunking, taking chunks down, I have a process, right? So, and it's a redundant one. So I get the rope in the position, however I'm going to position my lanyard and my spar tie. They're usually somewhat separate. I fire up the saw. I sink the saw a couple inches, so it's in there. Click the brake on, re-inspect my line position. So I do that like every single time by rote, double check. And so if in my mind I'm doing that, in my mind I say good to cut, and I cut. And I do the same thing when I'm work positioning. So I'll get to a destination, I get in. The main thing I want to do too, even when I teach, I try to tell people that you're trying to slow your heart rate and slow your breath rate down. And comfort does that. So I say, get to a position where you need to get. You're going to exert. You're going to find a spot. You're going to get comfortable. However you need to set your feet, whatever your rope angles are going to be, I'm going to lanyard in, snug up my primary, get comfortable. Even if I need that, we've talked about this before, about having three points of attachment. Mm-hmm. If I'm in a real spready tree, maybe that's the case. And then I can bring the heart rate down, do what I need to do. And now whatever work I need to execute, I'm comfortable and I'm all about getting it done. So there's a process, and I will check those boxes, and I'm just going to make doubly sure. And there's another thing that happens to me when I get over, I'll put a number to it. When I get above, say, 60 feet, you're into that 60 to 90 foot range, it changes again. When I look down at the ground crew and they look small, there's an extra measure of, for whatever reason. I know you can get just as hurt falling off an orchard ladder. Right? Like you can. We've talked about that outside.
I think it's 45 feet. You're more likely to die than survive.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So maybe that's it.
That's one that helped me get through. It's like, all right, I'm at 50. All right, I'm at 90. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I think it might be that there's a threshold somewhere maybe where we intuitively know if something happens here, I'm going to get jacked up. It's not going to feel good.
Yeah. But for me, the wife actually says it's play the tape. What's going to happen? So I'll see it through. It's like, what are the scenarios? Like, all right, I want it to go there. What if it does that? Then what? It's like, all right, well, I'm just going to scooch over 2 feet. And if it does that, sucks for that fence, but I'm all right.
Yep.
Or maybe I'll throw an extra line on it, or maybe we do need to rig this.
Yeah.
Or it needs a pole or whatever.
Take a precaution. Yeah, I think. Do you run scenarios like that? I mean, I think everybody does. It's a silly question, but like, do you find yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. Run scenarios. Best case, worst case scenarios, both of them. I was just having a conversation, a coworker the other day. And it's redundant, but it's like, why would you want to put yourself in a position where you're going to have to deal with more nonsense afterwards? Meaning, if something goes wrong, from let's say a branch falling out and landing on your hand, we talk about hand, like, and hurting your hand, and it hurts for 2 weeks, not terrible injury, and then a log falls on you, like snaps your leg in half. Like, why would you want to deal with any of that? How about we just do the 32 scenarios, figure it all out, pick number 29 and be like, this is the best one, get it done, it works out perfect, and you have nothing to deal with. So 100% it's all about the scenarios. And for me, the last thing is I just don't want to deal with anything on top of what I got going on in life and tree work as well. So, and I'm not saying people don't think that way, but it just feels like, oh yeah, well if I just do like stupid, redundant one, but I don't need to put chaps on. I'm just gonna make my last cut. That's always like the famous.
It's always when it happens, though,
right? So it's kind of like that. It wasn't like, and in that moment is the moment where you should, in my brain, be like, you know what? I've heard that before. So I'm gonna put the chaps on. I don't want to deal with the idea of I have to go to the hospital, get 32 stitches, then go home, and then my kids are freaking out. Like it's
a lot quicker to put the chaps on.
Just right, exactly. So scenarios, yes, but I think there's that little extra thing of like, I already have so much on my plate in general that I don't want anything else on it, and I don't know if that helps in how I deal with things. But yeah, that would be my answer for that.
I also find there's a 5-foot rule in a tree. If you go up 5 feet, everything's different, and your risk has probably gone down tremendously.
So say it again. There's 5
it's foot. It's a 5-foot rule.
Okay.
So if you just go up another 5 feet, everything changes. Like maybe you're at that next crotch, and it's 3 cuts instead of one big one. But
there you go.
You take a lot of that risk out.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, there's an exception to every rule, but
sure. But it's a good thing.
If there's rot there, well,
yeah. But at least, but here's the thing. That's a scenario that you thought about. that's you being like, oh, can I? Nah, I can't go 5 feet. I have to figure. So scratch that plan, right? Because then if that doesn't work, maybe another line. Can I put another line in a different tree that gives me the 5 feet that I need? That's a scenario that won't work. And I think we all do it, but at a exponential rate that we run through all the scenarios and come up with the best one possible, or lack of, because we've seen some cowboys do some wild stuff too.
Cowboys aren't cool anymore.
Oh no.
I actually love kind of where this is going, because and it's for the listeners, just like I'm relating to Mason, right? He's young, grown up in the business, my son, training him. But I've done this a lot with folks that I've trained, where they have a tendency to settle for like a lower tie-in, or they don't want to go up. And we were working on a cherry tree a few weeks ago. It wasn't a huge tree, but just enough trickiness where there were some obstacles, plant material and things. And I just remember saying to him, put your feet where your hands are. In other words, just
5 feet.
I'm like, right. So when you said that, I'm like, put your feet where your hands are. Replace, and I take a step up. Don't worry about cutting it out. Take a step up. And he did. And I was like, how's your perspective now? Take 2 steps up. Now it's all of a sudden that perspective, instead of sitting under it, looking up at it, now I'm on top of it. I have a little better perspective. I can make, perhaps a smaller cut. But it's also making me think about, and I'm just curious what you guys think about. There's a thing I've seen, a hashtag, chunks are for punks. Have you seen this? So in other words, chunking down a spar is for punks. Like, meaning like, well, if you can, why would you chunk down when I can take a 9-foot piece and negative rig it or swing it? I'm just curious. I know how I feel about it. I don't care about a hashtag. If I feel comfortable chunking, I'll take the extra few minutes and I'll do it. If I feel like I can, as I'm grading out scenarios, that chunk down is a viable option for me. I will continue to have it in my toolbox.
You're talking like take firewood instead of rigging a piece?
Yeah, like sometimes, it's just bang, bang, bang. Like I might be able to just boop, boop, boop,
So I can take firewood down by myself while my crew goes and does something else.
Right.
And then the team is more efficient.
Yeah. I'm glad you laid it out like that. I think sometimes there's a propensity to set up some massive, rigging scenario where I'm taking all this time to put things in, or I can function in conjunction with my team and maybe make it a little, they're not trying to land this massive piece. Now look, if it works out and we're weighing these scenarios and it works out that way, great. Yeah. Okay. I can bring a big piece down, but I don't know necessarily that I have to go.
Usually not. There's a time for it, for sure.
Yeah.
It's
you got to be ready for
it. Go big and go home mentality, which is, it feeds the ego. It sounds cool. It looks cool on video.
That's your cowboys,
Yeah.
We don't like cowboys.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the fact, this is my opinion, but the fact that there is a hashtag that chunks are for punks, it's like, who said that? Because as far as I'm concerned, it depends on the scenario, situation, job. Do you have a fence? Do you have, the driver, car, this, or whatever it is? Chunking it. It's like, dude, that I always say, you would say firewood, but I would say I'm making pancakes. Even though it's still pretty thick, but the idea and compared to the spar, I'm just making pancakes. I know I could push it and then have it just land in a certain way instead of, having to, rig this big piece and then have issues and stuff. So the concept that somebody came up with that, I'm like,
every time you rig a piece, you're creating a hazard. You're adding hazards in. If you can drop it, why wouldn't you?
I'm with you.
No, listen, it was kind of like where the conversation was naturally going. And it just triggered that thought about that. I see it sometimes on posts and I just kind of laugh there's been times when I've shot a video of me pushing a chunk off and then I'll just put the hashtag in there because I don't mind being a punk. It's okay. Exactly. At this age, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like,
I also keep my saw like really sharp.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, I mean, if I had a dull saw, I'd want to make less cuts too.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think there's always a time and a place to make less cuts, fewer cuts, less wear, less starts, wear and tear on the shoulders and the body and things like that. But
efficiency.
Yeah. So
if you don't mind. So the curiosity I have is fear of heights. You came from an unrelated industry. Now you're in the tree field. You had fear of heights. Like when I came in, I don't know if the right phrase is chomping at the bit. Is that that was me? Like I'm just put me in the trees, and then no. So were you in that position, or was it more of like it's time for you to grow to the next level as a worker, and then that's how you got into tree climbing?
It was kind of the progression, you know.
Yeah.
It had to be done. I wasn't pushing for it though.
Okay.
It just came, and I remember there were times where I was, 60 feet up. And like a little bit of a juvenile spready oak, and it was like 5 feet away from that branch I have to get, and there's stuff under it, and I'm just there for half an hour, just standing there.
Yeah.
And then it got down, and it's like, damn, it's like my gut is it's all messed up.
Yeah.
And then one day I'm like, so I'm scared in that position. Why am I gonna stay there longer? Just do it.
Yeah, sure.
Then it's like, all right.
I like that.
Yeah. No, this is what it's for the listeners.
It's great, and I think it's great for people. Like I hate to keep referring to my kid, but my kid has the same sort of reverential fear that I have, and I think it's good for him and for people like that to say, "Well, I'm afraid of heights." Well, okay, doesn't mean you. And listen, this spreads into fears in general, right? I'm afraid to drive across one of the bridges. I'm afraid to, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're afraid. All right. Now what? Are we going to learn to contend with ourselves in our minds and overcome the fear and push? Or are we going to just let that fear win and stay status quo and never stretch, never grow, and never learn a thing?
I saw something, and it was like, it's obviously kidding, but it's like, I have anxiety, so I think I'm going to stay home and focus on it full time.
Wow.
It's like,
wow.
That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No,
you got to get out there and get over it.
Wow.
That's a good one.
That is really, really good.
I haven't heard that one.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let me just sit there and just like, I have this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep playing.
It's mine.
With it. Like,
it's mine. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah. Like a can.
While freaking out.
Yeah.
Because you're not sitting there like, ooh, you're sitting there like, oh man, I don't know what to do this thing, but I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're in hell, why would you stop? Keep going.
Right. Yeah. I struggle with the whole living the label thing. So like we label things like, okay, all of us in tree industry, whatever, entrepreneurs, ADHD. Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay. Now what? Like, I have anxiety. I'm not saying there aren't real conditions. Let me just, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but there are a lot of things that social media, the internet also likes to give it to you, right? So if you're searching and you're looking, you will find it. It will hand it to you in the algorithm and tell you there's all these. I know we're on this constant health journey.
Yeah.
Every
all
day.
you have to do is say it.
All you have to, right.
I can't wait to see what Google suggests on my way home.
Right. Exactly. If it's not like methylene blue or like hydrogen water or it's like every day I'm getting 5 things on my algorithm on my Instagram about some other new vitamin or something I can take. I was having this conversation with a group at my Tai Chi studio. I'm just thinking, what is it we're really looking for? Like, what are we trying to solve? There's still some super common sense things that we can do that are just basic fundamental things. Sleep good, drink lots of water, eat real, whole, honest foods, move your body. If we do those things, we check a lot of boxes.
Yeah. Gives you a good base.
Yeah. So was there something you wanted to, because I was going to circle back to the family side.
Oh yeah, please.
We started to kind of wander down, and then we just went off on, which is cool. That's, we always, just for the people listening, we always have a sort of a set of primer questions that I'll throw out to the guests and just this may be a direction we go in, and we want to leave a lot of space and a lot of room to just have a natural conversation, which is typically what happens. And then at the end, I might look at the list, and we usually wind up getting through everything.
Yeah, in its own way, for sure. But I do have one that I'll throw it in there when the time's right. But no, the family aspect of it, I think it's good because I did not know. I've known you for a while, so I knew you have the brothers and everything, but I didn't know there was 7. I probably heard Todd say it, but never put it together, right? So there's a dynamic to that. Number one, right? Todd creates a business. All the brothers are in it. Your sisters, no, right? Exactly. But then did your parents give you guidance? Did your brother guidance? Then that's where I'm curious about.
No, I love all that. And the only other thing I would add is benefits and drawbacks. How do you navigate? I mean, I'm sure there's some other stuff. By the way, is Todd the oldest?
Second oldest. He's the oldest boy.
Okay. Oh, okay.
He is 16 years older.
Okay. All right. Yeah, they spread them out. I mean, I guess when you have 7, you can do that, right? Yeah.
I think everyone's like 2 to 3 years apart, so it's pretty even.
Yeah.
So my dad was in the Air Force. He was a fighter pilot.
Oh, that's awesome.
We remember that? Todd didn't mention, but we didn't circle back on it. Yeah.
The joke is he'd go on tour, and every time he came back, he'd make a new kid and meet the one he made. And go on tour, you go back.
That's great. What did he fly? Like, do you know what planes he flew?
F4 Phantom.
Oh, dude, man, that's a cool plane.
Yeah. The earlier
that was a Vietnam
jets.
plane.
Yeah, he was in Vietnam.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Interesting. Man, that's a whole wow. I'm a huge like a nerdy kind. I don't know a lot about, but I know that plane. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, he was done flying. Actually, so when I was born in South Carolina, and we moved to New Jersey when I was like 3 months old because of his retirement.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Major Pearson.
Wow.
I like it.
I love it. Yeah.
Sounds like a nickname.
It does.
It was.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what is it like working, and do you all each, I know Todd kind of runs things, right? And he's doing sales?
Yeah.
Or does he have, okay. So
Todd does a little bit of everything.
Right. Problem solving. Right.
My job is to take as much away from him as I can.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Make his life easier.
So what, do you all fill a little bit different roles? And so I guess what I'm trying to drive at is, because I think it's a real life scenario. Like people have conflicts sometimes, or you're navigating through what Brick likes to call human shit, just conversations that need to be had to deal with a thing. How do you do that? How do you navigate? What's it like working with 3 brothers? Because you have a family dynamic that existed before tree work. And then all of a sudden tree work, working together, vision, values, mission. Are you guys pretty much, I mean, I would imagine locked in? What's it like? Like talk me through that a little bit, what that family dynamic's like.
So anybody knows Todd knows he's pretty laid back.
Yep.
I mean, I get to see the other side a little bit. The Gen X in him.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I can relate to that.
But no, it's good. I definitely get to like see and hang out with him more than I ever would had we weren't.
Yeah.
If we weren't working together. But all in all, it's good. I was trying to think of like something that sucks about it.
Yeah.
But like,
not really.
There's nothing that's really standing out.
No, that's good.
I mean, if I quit, I couldn't get away from him.
Right.
But
it
was like, we were just joking. I just had the injury. We'll get to that. But you're saying something, and it's like, yeah, you couldn't get rid of me that easy. And he's like, I think it's the other way around. You can't leave that easy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, with that being said, do you guys, let's put it this way, for the listeners, is it something that is natural for you guys, just it all gels well? Or is it something that you guys actively take on? We're talking about human shit. Basically, the concept is, I'm still going to say, like, for example, the conversation we had outside when I was asking about how you doing mentally. And you responded, and I'm like, no. Human shit. I'm asking you, man to man, how are you mentally? And then you get the human shit out of the way, and then you have a real conversation. You see what I mean? So is that natural for you guys? You don't need to do that? Or is it a process that you have to work on over the years? Because you have a life, Todd has a life, your other brothers and sisters, everybody has a life. You have tree work. Some days are stressful, right? Todd is the owner, so I'm sure he has different stresses than you do. So there has to either supernatural and it worked out perfect, or there has to be a process that you guys went through to kind of build into that. Or am I not on spot on with it?
I mean, so we talk to each other. So he'll come with problems he's dealing with to me, and I'll come with stuff I'm dealing with to him. And quite often, just talking about it kind of gets you through it.
Yeah.
And maybe, sometimes it is that like, this is going to suck for you, dude, but you got to do this. And then, I guess we both kind of have some similar weaknesses as well. So we'll struggle with that, but we work on getting the right people on the bus in the right seat. So you kind of like I can train people, but like as soon as you lose a little bit of interest, like you lost me. Like I can only train you if you're motivated to learn.
Yeah.
But Archie, he'll talk you right out of not wanting to do it into doing it. So he's the right person for that job.
Gotcha.
Even if he doesn't have as much experience as me. And then, he'll run into a hag and come to me and, oh yeah, just do this. That'll work.
And how about the other two brothers? Are they similar? Like, do they have a different set of gifts? You said you and Todd have similar weaknesses. Do they have strengths where you guys are? Do they fill some of those other voids?
So Brett's different altogether. Okay. Like he's still a Pearson, no doubt about it. Yeah. But like you put him on a machine and it's like, he'll do stuff you wouldn't even dream of.
Nice.
Like he worked with Pete at Crane Man for 2 years. And
oh, wow.
He was one of the best operators.
Okay. Awesome. I didn't know
and he
that.
Just like, you get him behind a machine. It's game over.
Money.
Yeah. But he just moved into sales, which we'll see how it goes. Mm-hmm. He can definitely do sales well, but we'll see how he does being out of the field.
Yeah. That's a challenge, I think, for everybody who does it.
And a mechanic too.
Yeah.
Like he was doing head gaskets on the family car at like 13.
That sounds like my kid, man. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
They didn't all go back together, but
but he learned.
Yeah. But he learned something.
Yeah.
I came home the one day and he had his dirt bike motor on his bed, like in pieces. Like, dude, what are you doing? Fantastic. That's your bed.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'll sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just change the sheets. It's fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No,
you can't go to bed till it's done, though, I guess, right?
Yep.
It's true.
Yeah, and if you get in that zone, sometimes I know, like when you're in that creative zone, sometimes it doesn't really matter if it's 1 o'clock in the morning. No. You're just in that zone. You're just going to go, which is pretty interesting. Now, it sounds like you guys have a good dynamic. I mean, there's definitely, I can tell you how you feel about your brother, Todd. He's an easy guy to like, and we've had good experiences over the years, just conversations and going deep, and it's kind of
he's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, and it's kind of happened with us too. Like this is kind of
normal.
Yeah,
normal occurrence.
Yeah. This is good every time we're at an event. And again, like I know I say this every episode, but we just came back from Arbor Expo and just kind of had that same. We had a booth for the podcast, which was pretty cool and it was a good experience. And I just, if you've gone to shows and you go by a booth sometimes where it's a small booth and there's a poor soul sitting there playing with their fidget spinner and I was like, is this what's going to happen? Are we going to be sitting there for hours with nobody coming by? You know what I mean? Because you don't know. I've never done that before.
Brick's been around the block.
And the conversations though, like
there's always a line of people waiting to talk to Brick.
Proud of that. Yeah. It was good though. But so my point is like just carrying that vibe that we keep saying, like, you know, going to different shows and the functions and, you know, the comps and things like that. So I don't know if you want to jump into the comp game. I know that's something we want to talk about.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, if you want to,
same thing. Tell the listeners us how you got involved. Obviously, Todd very, you know, involved in the competition scene as a competitor, judge, volunteer, and all that stuff. But what about you? Because I'm still at the conference. I was like, anybody, you know, have fear of heights? And you raised your hand. And I was blown away by it. Because we compete together. So it's just not it's never a thought, you know what I mean? So with that being said, you go from, you know, working with your brother a year later, apprehensive climbing, having to overcome all these challenges, to now competition. How does that happen? And more importantly, if you have advice in there for people that want to get into the competition scene, this is a platform for that as well.
There are a big couple big moments that really changed my trajectory, so to speak. So the first one was probably Todd tearing his ACL, and he couldn't climb. I think I was climbing for maybe 2-3 years. So I was doing stuff. I wasn't efficient. At the time, it was like you go to a job and I get to climb a tree. And then Todd can no longer climb a tree, so I have to climb the trees. So that just gets me a whole lot more time in the saddle and kind of forcing me to move forward and not worry about the fears as much. Kind of push them back just a little. And then at the time we had a Spanish guy, Jose, subbing for us. So he'd come in and do all the hairy stuff. But then there was a different fishbowl brought in that I could watch.
Oh, yep.
And then, and after Sandy, and it was just like, I was the guy that had to do the big trees. And, you know, if it was really beyond me, Todd would come and work the ground. Like, remember there was one of the first trees I did. It was oak removal, close to the house, close to the fence, some stuff below. So it all had to be rigged. And took me all day. I was so proud of myself. Looking back now, it's like, dude, I'd have that thing down by 10:30.
Wow.
I'd do like 3 of them in a day.
Yeah.
But that day?
But yeah, that was a big day.
Good. Yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, you see that as it's marked in your mind as a day of growth. Yeah, because you did something that formerly maybe you wouldn't have had the skill or the fortitude, quite frankly, to do, right? But you stretched yourself that day. I like this analogy.
And Todd was there the whole time. He could barely walk, and he was roping.
Talking you through it, and
he was running the ropes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, and that sort of visual of and it's just a queer little thing that I came up with about balloons, right? You have these balloons, we all used to do like water balloons, and those water balloons that you buy in a bag are super tight, and to get anything in them, you got to blow them up. So if you only blow it up to the capacity where the rubber doesn't stretch, it'll never get any bigger. So I see that as a model for capacity. So when we learn to stretch, like we blow the air in past its capacity, we let it out. The next time it's got more capacity. And I think there's a lot of times in this business and in life, if we don't stretch the balloon, the capacity. So that day, it wasn't about getting 3 of those done in a day. It was that one, but stretching your capacity and raising your ceiling that day made all these other smaller ones fit inside of that capacity. And that's kind of what I try to tell. Like I try to tell new people coming in is if you have to be willing to stretch beyond your fear. But there's a fine line between that and like getting hurt. And that's where having a mentor, somebody that can say, hey, listen, I've seen you do this. This is the next step for you. I trust that you can do this and not get hurt. But you need to push yourself to get it done, you know?
And then after a while, it gets to that point where it's like Todd comes and tells me something and I start doing it his way and it just screws everything up. And it's like, all right. Like, no, dude, you're not in my head. That's your way. Let me do my way. It's like, all right. Bite my tongue.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah. So is that because we were talking about the competition still. So is that kind of like that starts getting, because it's still, for me, or even people that, because I just had a couple conversations with people at Orbit Expo that are considering competing.
Do it.
What?
Do it.
No, it's easy to say that though, right? So you kind of have to like coach them through how to like show up. And the first thing I always say, well, if it's too much for you, then show up as a spectator, right? Because if you haven't seen one, then that's probably why it's daunting as well. But show up as a spectator, and then at least you get to see what happens. And then the year after that, I highly encourage you to sign up regardless of how you feel. So you're still like you just accomplished a big tree. It's a milestone in your life. I saw you smile when you said it. It took all day, but you didn't smile because it took all day. You smiled because you accomplished something that you couldn't do before, which is what we're always looking for, even now, right? So, I love the story, but I still want to hear how you got to comps.
So
still,
So Todd competed for a while. I don't know how long, but I think his last competition was 2006. And when he started the company, it was just too much going on.
Yeah.
And so he always talked about him. Apparently there used to be like a groundman competition too. How fast you could rake an area and stuff. Well, so he always jokes. He's like, just go do it. Go do that. Go do that.
Yeah.
But he had always talked about it. But with the company, new company and everything, he was just, that was kind of like a side thought, Mm-hmm. And then I think 2013 was the first year I competed. But before that, it was North American, was in New Jersey.
Yeah. Birchwood Park.
Yeah. So I went to watch that, thinking it was just New Jersey's, but it was actually North American.
No, not even close. Yeah, but good.
Yeah. And then just saw what it was about. It's like, oh, I can do that. I can do this stuff. And then, lo and behold, my first year competing, I met Brick, same group.
Yeah. Oh, cool! You guys were in the same rotation.
Yeah,
nice.
Yep. He was.
So was that like
same energy? A little less direction from Brick. He was running around and all amped up, ready to go.
Yeah.
It's it.
I think you threw the limb toss into the landing zone.
Oh my goodness! Right,
they were just painted on.
Yes. Wow.
It was like a red circle and a green circle.
Right.
Yeah. You threw it to the wrong one. It's like, all right, don't do that. Why would he do that? And you go up and it's like, oh, if you don't like look beyond this lead, you can't see where you're supposed to.
Wow, I forgot about that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was, so did you say 2013? Is that?
I believe so. That's my first year.
Rutgers?
Yeah.
I don't remember 13.
Yeah, that was Rutgers.
It was Rutgers? Yeah.
Rutgers. The Masters was that big sycamore by the building.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
That was that long ago already?
So
I remember that.
No, 13.
It's funny how we remember trees.
Well, it's crazy because it was like, that's 12 years ago. And I distinctly remember walking up. I wasn't in the comp. I was judging. But I remember walking up to the table, like where the table was and everything, and seeing that tree. And then the Masters was in it. And I was like, it was big.
I remember.
That was about the time. When did Rory win? Or when did Rory start winning?
There you go.
When did Mark stop winning? Or
and Protege came in.
Yeah. When was that transition? It was right around when I came in.
14, 15, somewhere in there.
I can't remember who won that. I think Mark won that though. He had a good climb. And came down and was like, dude, that was awesome. He's like, yeah. Nah, that was slow. It's like, what? That was slow? It was like 14 and a half seconds or something. I don't know. It was wild, yeah. And then started competing. I actually did. So there weren't a ton of competitors that year. I think it was a reschedule. I think it was there was a rain day or something, and it was rescheduled for the next week. So there were maybe 15 competitors or so, and I got like 6th place. It's like, what? Maybe I can do this.
There we go.
And Todd's partner at the time, he had competed before. He wasn't super into it, not as much as Todd anyway. And then the best he ever did was 7th. So it was like, boom. And then, yeah, I mean, just learn a little bit every year.
Cool. Was there one year that like you were like, okay, I'm going to take a big step forward this year, and you kind of did it? Or do you, like, what's your approach going in, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
So the first year I made Masters was a big step up for sure. Kind of changing the way you think, because I was always a cusper, you know. I could make top 10, but I was like, it was never quite top 5. And then that year, I don't know, I think it was another light year on competitors, and I slipped in there with Brick.
No,
and,
you earned the spot. There's no slipping it.
Yeah.
You earn it or you don't. So, but I know what you mean.
Certain things have to come together.
The stars have to align. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. But what just memory? 18? I think it was
17.
17, right? Yeah. Lakewood Gardens or not Lakewood.
No, that was at
what's gonna drive me? It's Joe's place.
Yeah.
It'll come to me. Senior Citizen Home.
Yeah.
Arboretum.
Awesome
I feel so
trees.
bad. I forgot the name.
It'll come to me.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that's 17.
17. That was a big one. And I remember so I got 3rd place. So I went last, just waiting there, just like, what am I going to do? Like, I've studied the rules, not the Masters. So I was never ready for that.
Same.
I think Mark Chisholm actually came over. He's like, look, man, this is what you do. It's just another tree. Go climb it. I'm like, still like walking to the ring. It's like, just another tree. This is what I do.
So you were having that internal dialogue.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And tree went pretty well, all in all. I think they had that one. There's always one bell that's all off in no man's land. Yeah. From the ground, it looked like it was a mile away. So I brought up a 2nd rope. I tied into this other branch, and like as soon as I did it, I'm like, oh my God, I do not need this. I do not need this at all. But it was like I still did it.
Yeah.
And I had my buddy Bobby running the time, and we were down to like 7 minutes, and I had like just got back from that first bell, and he's like, oh, when's he gonna skip? And I just ran through all of them, dropped down, and did it. I was like, all right, I finished the Masters.
Yeah, that's a big step.
And then that was, the whole ride home. That's a high.
That's what's up. Yeah,
it happened.
That
just happened.
We've there's the same first Masters same year. Yeah, that's the first time I made it as well. Mine was not as good as yours.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it. Obviously, I was sequestered.
I'm happy you didn't. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Did you have like a nest or?
What was that?
A throw ball nest in the top or something?
So I'd used the big shot at the time. So the big shot it. I didn't know until afterwards, but I was playing with it, I had it, but I was bringing it back thinking I need to get into the union, but I actually pulled it out of the union that I should have used. So I had no problems. I had to shoot again. Then rat's nest, got that stuck. Got that stuck, shot after, got in panic mode, just ripping through the tree, forget the rules or whatever. And then when I came out trying to get that line out, felt like forever. And I mean, seriously, I still can't explain how it came out, but it came out within like, let's say 3 seconds left. You know what I mean?
So you save those 20 points?
Yeah, exactly. And just a hot mess everywhere. Your ropes over here, throw line. It was just none of it was pretty, but I did have the sense of accomplishment of making it to Masters. The drive home, I would say I had a high, as in like, I finally reached that level to where you want to get to. But obviously,
yeah, you can bomb on the Masters, but you made it there.
Who else was in that? I remember that.
Rory.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was judging.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Of course.
Yeah.
Big Paul is always judging.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. But
I like what you said, Cusper. That must have been my whole competition career.
Yeah.
I was like top 10.
Right on the cusp.
But I was also that guy like your brother. Like I ran a business and I'd be like, this year I'm going to train. This year I'm going to read the rule book because I really think I could do something with this. And then life. And then they're like, the competition's in 3 weeks. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll compete. You know what I mean? Like it just, I just never put the time in really to get to that level.
That dichotomy between the two. It's always tough. That was actually the year my daughter was born.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it was like, even if I do win this, I can't go to internationals because she's due like 3 days later.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where was international that year?
I wasn't following it that close at the time.
Well, and I also want to make sure the listeners know, like, you made it to internationals 1 year. And when was that? That was what,
2022, right?
3 years ago?
Copenhagen. No, that's a cool trip. Yeah.
So what was that? So, okay, I'm going to take the next set of questions. So my thing is, okay, you already said Masters was second level. I don't know the rules. Oh boy, Mark's like, just another tree, just da-da-da-da. Second level, Masters, you make it. The time, you're driving home, you're on a high. Fast forward, 2022, you win Masters. Actually, that was the year I remember in the work climb, not in the Masters. I was in the tree. That was the year you did the rope thing with the... And I was telling Todd, I was like, I don't know, I was nerding out about the rope, man. This is normal. But you were like, phew, phew, and you just went in the rope, and I was like, that was nice, you know. Yeah. I was attacking.
You took a video of that and sent it to me.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
You were totally geeking out on it.
But
it wasn't. I thought nothing of it.
No,
it was my rope was on the right side, just a little bit, and I just kind of gave it a roll, and it went.
Yeah. 100%. But you know, when you watch folks struggle sometimes with I find when climbers are starting, one of the hardest things to get used to is how to keep all your stuff in order. Handsaw, chainsaw, lanyard, rope. I'm here, I'm working, I'm moving my body around and things getting crossed over. It's like, so having order in your gear is an accomplishment.
That's where like the training comes in on the job.
Yeah.
So a lot, like you can't just go and train and win the climbing competition.
Right.
Like you have to work too.
Yeah.
So every day at work is a training opportunity. Yeah. So it's like, man, my lanyard got caught on that stub and stopped me dead on my swing in the work climb. Like, how do I prevent that? You start dealing with that. Like I run a 9-foot lanyard. Some people love that like 18, 20-foot lanyard. Yeah. Do you use that in competition?
No. In Masters, yes. Work climb, no. Aerial rescue, yes. But to your point is when you work with it plus train with it, you figure out how to streamline it for climbing competitions.
Yeah, you can navigate your gear because you work with it every day.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the other thing. Never try something new in a competition.
Yeah, do tell.
It's everybody. It's like you go to a competition and it's like, oh, he's using that. That's what I need. And they're like, can I borrow that? It's like, yeah, definitely try it. And then it's like, oh, I don't use this. Oh, he's got a different carabiner. What do you mean? He's got a button lock. I use a twist lock. Yeah. And then you're just setting yourself up for failure because you haven't trained with it.
Guilty of that too. Just so
interesting. Yeah. Muscle memory is important, right? How many times and I don't even remember what they are. There's a set of beaners I have that I bought like a little speed line kit. And the gate works the other way. And for the life of me, I have to, every time I use these speed line beaners,
it's like
you have to want to learn that.
Yeah, exactly. The neural pathway is so deep with because I'll sit there and watch TV and
Yeah, but Rakazadaka, at least
I think that's what they are.
Yeah, it's backwards, like reverse backwards.
I think they actually made one. There's one the other way.
Oh, yeah? Okay, yeah.
Because I imagine that's their biggest complaint.
Yeah.
Instead of going down and twist, it's like up and twist or something like that, or twist the opposite.
Twist to the left and to the right.
Like that. Yeah. So you make it in 22 to go to Copenhagen for ITCC. What was that experience like? I mean, were you just? I mean, obviously you're excited, but just kind of walk me through that.
I feel like everybody kind of gets it, but that imposter syndrome, like, why do I deserve to be here? It's like, I just got lucky, you know? I happened to make my throw ball shots in that master, and, you know, I happened to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's years of training behind that, but you go there and it's like, this is the best of the best in the world. Mm-hmm. Sure, I need to be supposed to be here. And then on top of that, it's my first time to Europe. Oh, so super cool.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And they run it different. Like they are like chop, chop, chop. Like you're supposed to be here at this time. If you're not here, you're DQ'd. You don't have your stuff. What do you mean you don't have your stuff in order? You know?
Yeah.
So you got to be on top of your game. And then it's a hurry up and wait.
Yep.
But, and the rules, there's only a few people I know that like understand the rules in a different level. Jake Riggs being one of them, because he will come to you and be like, "Oh, you can't use this, this, and this." It's like, why? It's like, well, if you go to the manufacturers, it's meant for this and this and this. It's like, what? How do you find all this stuff out?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. The different trees, but not that different. They had beech and English oaks. Mm-hmm. So it's familiar. Big beech. That's what the throw ball was in, which I won.
Yeah, there we go.
That was a wild one.
That's pretty cool.
So like the walk around beforehand, we're going through it and we're looking at everything. We're looking at the throw ball, and I'm thinking this is international. Everybody's gets top crotch. That's all you do, because that's all Todd taught me. It's like you only go for the best tie-in.
That's great.
Nice.
And everybody's like, "Yeah, I think I can take a 7, and then with that one, I can double bag it." It's like, in a competition, double bagging slow.
It is gonna eat time up.
Like you got masters, you can do it. Yeah. You'll get some extra points for it, but so that's what everyone was doing. They were double bagging the one and going for 2 7s, and then it was the first year of the canopy anchor. Yeah. Like, well, I'm an international, so I'm going for broke. And my first shot went through that top crotch. There's actually so here's the crotch, and there was another branch kind of like this. So naturally, you're going to go over both of them. Popped it over that one, and it hit this branch. And like fate right there. It's like it can bounce right and out or left and in. And it bounced left and in.
Wow.
Isolated it, canopy anchor. Next one was, I think it was 77 feet. They do everything in meters, so I had a whole notebook converting.
Yeah. Right.
And that was like straight up. Like you would have wanted to be like 15, 20 feet out of the ring. Mm-hmm. Shot it, went right in. It's like, holy shit. And I think I heard Todd. He's like, oh my God, he's doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I said it, and it was 4 minutes, 10 seconds. Had I got under 4, it would have been a perfect score.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because there's time bonus. Yeah.
But it's like looking back on it, I wasn't even there. I was just watching myself too. I had everything in my head.
Dude, you were in. That's flow state, dude.
Oh yeah,
that's flow state. That's what that is.
That was flow. That was the
no. Yeah, the ball. Like be the ball, you know.
There you go.
Remember, like Caddyshack or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Chevy Chase is like no. And he's like hitting the ball, and all the balls are going in the holes, you know.
I love that. I love that.
He's in total flow.
Yeah. Yep. And that was the only flow I got in that whole competition.
Is that right?
Yeah.
When did you have to do throw line? Like,
that was second day.
Second day.
Second event.
Okay. All right. So yeah, but yeah, that was the only one that just.
Yeah, that clicked. The aerial rescue. So I was measuring out my rope and have my Prusik and everything already tied on, and I was pulling it up, tying it off. And I asked the one tech, "How high is it?" And he told me the height of the dummy.
Oh,
not the height of the hub. So I measured out the height of the dummy. I pulled my rope up. Flustered, nerves going like it's my first competition. Yeah. And I went up and I got to it and just said, shit. It stopped and there's a tree tech right there. And he's like talking to them down there. He's like, he's at his tie-in. And then so it was straight out. Like you have to keep weight on that. So leaning over and I lanyard in. It's like, all right, you can move a little bit. And then once I was out a little farther, I could actually keep tension on it, but just 8 points in AR.
That's usually a pretty good event for you, right? Like
No, that's usually one of my weaker ones.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Last year I won. I don't know how.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I kept it simple and
but anything with 8 points.
No,
that's rough.
Well, because there's a lot of points available.
In wrestling. So there's 50 available there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that's that hurts. That hurts. I'll just say that right now. You know,
that was.
But
I mean, that was.
Okay.
I was just gonna say not to bring up but that was like you in Albuquerque. We're at Albuquerque and not realizing. I mean, I'll let him unpack it because he can tell what happened. But like the crazy thing was. It's like flat, and we're all like these guys are walking around sucking wind. We're at 5,500 feet, like 6,000 feet above sea, like
not used to it.
And everybody's thinking, "What's wrong with me today? I don't understand why." Well, you're on a plateau. It feels flat. You know, you see mountains over there, but you're like, "Oh, there's the mountains." You're on a mountain.
Meanwhile, the Australians have been training for a year with a face mask on,
right?
Preparing for just that.
Yeah. They definitely were smart. They came out a week earlier and trained hard every day. Because I talked to one of them like, "Hey, how do you?" And he said, "I'm like, that's somebody doing their homework, you know."
And they do it as a team. That would be like the States, like getting a few chapter people together and go, "Let's together go and."
Yeah, no,
it's not a bad idea.
It's not. It's
Mac, PA, New York.
It'd be all the logistics, but yeah, you could definitely do it. Yeah.
Show up a little early.
Yeah. No, I mean
we're strategizing now.
Yeah, exactly. What are we doing? Yeah.
You can only hear this in the States, right?
Any other way?
You can only hear this podcast in the States, right?
No.
It's an international podcast.
It is, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a show of like that next level, though,
dude. And that's what I was gonna get at is even though because I also had similar frustration with AR, which is what he is alluding to. I'm trying to. So there's two parts to it. One, the imposter syndrome. Yes. And then when you don't do well, which I'm learning more about you. I've known you for a while, but I'm learning more about you that the mental part, you seem to have a good grasp on the mental challenges that come. When challenges come, you seem to be ahead in the mental aspect of that. I don't know if that's a fair statement to make or not.
I think that's a Pearson thing. So we all do it. Like so it's like
that.
I was going to say, well, the dad was a fighter pilot, so, you know.
Yeah.
What's that thing? Beep, beep, beep. You know, like. You know what I mean?
No, they do. Yeah. So real quick, if you can you unpack that a little bit? Is there something from your dad kind of instilled in you guys? Like, because I
think inadvertently.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was never like said like this is the way.
He just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this has to get done, so I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's that simple. It's like this needs to get done, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm talking, and that's good, and I appreciate it. I'm talking about like after AR, that moment. You know what I mean? Like, is that you know what I'm saying? Like after AR, after you're just like bleep 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 bleep, right? And then is that where your dad's energy comes through in you guys, the Pearsons?
I guess so. It's like it's over. You can cry about it if it makes you feel better. If it doesn't make you feel better, then what's the point? Move on.
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of emotional regulation. So was your old man, is your dad still with us? Or?
No, he died 2011.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I just learned that.
Yeah. Same.
So, I mean, I'm assuming he was pretty emotionally regulated then? Like,
yeah.
Like, was he wasn't like freaking out about things? And
no, like growing up, I remember hearing him curse twice. One was because someone cut him off, and the other was because Brett was beating the shit out of me. That was the two times. Okay. But other than that, he was
pretty. And so
he was pretty cool.
You got that from observing behavior. You know, which
you again, can you? And I would assume that's what my kids do, but that's the whole point. The kids do what you do, not what you say. You know, they also learn that. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Like I'm learning. I kind of little by little knew about it, but our conversation before this is where I'm learning. You already have a stable mental state. So when you go through things, you're already
Thank
ahead.
you.
You're welcome. Yeah, but
let's not get carried away. You gotta be a little crazy in there somewhere.
Yeah, a little bit, right? No, but the reason why there is always. The reason why I'm touching on it is for the listeners, because I always tie everything to we have competition, we have tree work, we have family, we have personal development, and that's why I'm trying to touch on those points. You have a bad experience. First, you went to North Americans as a spectator, saw what the event was about, which gave you the courage to sign up the next year. So that's number one. Then you go through the years of competing, and whether you learn you can't just do tree work and show up, right? You got to put a little time training in. Then you experiment. Then you end up in the Masters, which is very similar to the experience that you had when you completed your first tree that took all day with Todd on the ground. It's a similar, accomplishment, right?
Just stepping stones.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And then you go to internationals, just like this weird imposter syndrome feeling, and so that's as listeners either getting into the tree industry, fear of heights, or on a competition level, possibly fear of not being enough or worthy to be one of the top competitors. Those are the things I always feel like I want to try to calm down the ideas of anxiety of what that means. It's we all can do it, and we can all help each other get to a better space in doing that at the same time. So that's why I'm bringing all these points out, so like you had your dad be, lead with example, not speaking about it, but lead with example. You got some of that. I didn't have my dad around, so like I had, and being deaf, I had like just constant, like the idea of holding on to anxiety. I didn't want to hold on to it, but it was always around me. Like what do I do with this thing? And you probably saw that in the earlier part of my competition career. Is that
just bouncing off the walls?
Yeah.
I feel like then it was bouncing off the walls with a little less discipline.
Yeah.
than
Correct.
today. Yeah.
Correct. No, it could
Now you're bouncing at a very specific time.
No, you got it. No, and spot on. And believe me, I try to make that energy not appear and bring it down, but I've come to accept that is it. Yeah. And then, like you said,
that's you. It's fine. It's good.
It's fun.
Why we all love you, man. Keep bouncing.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my reason to kind of take that and, package it in a way for the listeners coming into the industry or even going to competition scenes.
Yeah. I mean, to some degree, the emotional and I'm not the greatest at it. I mean, I have issues that I constantly have to work through, but I think one thing I found is when things go sideways, I have a tendency to be able to. It's kind of odd with me. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this. With the little things, I'll get annoyed. Little things will annoy me. Traffic, throw ball gets wrapped around it. But when something happens I've been first on an accident scene like 3 times, and I feel like everything slows down for me. Like my heart rate drops. People are panicking, and I just see everything in slow motion. I don't know what that's about, but that's kind of like on the job site too. I think.
Definitely get that in a tree.
Yeah. Slows down.
Like blowing a top takes like 5 minutes. Like I can watch that, see it's going a little bit to the side and push it in such a way. It's like, if I thought about doing that, I couldn't, but it's like in the moment, it's just like slow motion.
I call that, it's because I do Tai Chi, I call that Tai Tree. The ability to manipulate things in motion, that sort of that dynamic element that you can. I laugh when I see it. A crane pick comes off, 6,000-pound piece, and somebody puts their hand on it. Like we're going to manipulate it, but you can. Which is,
you're not holding 6,000 pounds.
Right. It's like hanging there, and you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
Hold
on.
Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, are we good? Did we cover? So on the comp thing, and I just kind of want to, because we did pivot a little bit off of it. So getting to Europe, first time in Europe, little bit of imposter syndrome. There's people there that you probably know, right? Like names, like I like that. In other words, there's people that I follow or see on social media, like, oh, there's so-and-so, or.
I don't think Todd and Archie and Todd's wife Jen all came, but I didn't know anybody. I didn't like actually talk to anybody. But it's like, oh yeah, that's that person.
Right?
Yeah, that's that person. They look different in real life.
Yeah. So we're big on relationships. I mean, obviously here with the podcast and all, but every time we get a chance to chat at a thing, we do. Was there a person or two, say in your rotation, that you were able to connect with that there was like no language barrier or anything? Like, was there someone that.
They do a pretty good job keeping people I think they would go together. So like they keep states together.
Ah, okay.
I was with Florida. They're a good time. It was Alicia.
Yeah,
I forget her last name.
Admission.
Yeah. She was a good time.
She was Arby.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
She was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we follow each other on Instagram.
I forget his name. The guy, the other guy from Florida. He won.
Forrest. Is it Forrest or what?
He won the Spirit of the competition. That year. It was just like, that loud outgoing guy.
Yeah. I can't think of it now, but yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. No, it was real cool.
Is there something that should you represent New Jersey again at some point? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Tell you what, you're lucky this year, Brick. You're real lucky this year, because I was coming for it.
It was I guess what I'm asking you, because I think it's a good thing to think about. What would you bring with you this time that you learned from international? Is there a specific thing or just an overall approach, a mentality, something you would say, all right, I've done this once now. what lessons learned could you bring forward into your next experience at ITCC?
That's tough to say because it's been almost 3 years now, but I'd say poise is going to get you the most points. Like if you can show poise in the tree, that's what really separates like that top level.
Okay.
And then, because I think you guys were talking with Derek about it, like that detail orientation is huge. Like I didn't realize that Barton Allen Hall is counting steps on his way out the limb walk. It's like, I'm just trying not to ring a bell. And I'm, it's a lot of winging it.
Yeah.
But and it's the little things. Like 17, I made the Masters, and then, but every year there's a theme at work for me. One year was landing. Like every tree I came out of, I pushed off and landed with my feet together and unclipped for a year. And lo and behold, the next year I nailed it, because I missed the landing that one year.
Conscious practice.
Or I fumbled with you fumble with your lanyard. That took a second to spin it around. So you tape it for competitions. The little things add up.
Polish.
Yeah.
Fit and finish.
Yeah. Detail.
It's funny because I noticed that at just even at the state level judging, there, in my opinion, there are two things that separate as an observer judging scoring points, giving those optional points. One of them is detail. And this is something that I do just as a climber in general. So I don't know if you want to call it flair. I don't really know what you call it, but I just know like unclip, flick it around, catch it, clip it. Like there's just this whole, and then when I unclip, it's clip, flick it back, pull it up, nail it. Like just, I'm not.
Oh yeah. And those things show.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in the tree, you'll do it without thinking. It's just like.
Right. So when
you've missed that toss 1,000 times already, and it's second nature to exactly where it's going to be.
Correct. Yeah. So you notice it as a judge. The other thing I notice, which I absolutely love, and this is a huge thing that I think separates more, is the ability to take that risk. It's nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I was explaining this to Mason yesterday, where say you have 30 competitors, you have a third that are on the sort of newer, lower learning end. You've got a third that are top level, and you've got a third in the middle that are your guys. And I told him, I was like, you watch them, they're safe, they're efficient, they make quality movements, measured. You would have them work for you. They would be good production people. But when there's, say, a limb walk, they're going to be more likely to come down, cautiously move out, get into position, tend their rope. And then there's other people that see angles. They're like, well, from here to there, I can go and I can stick this landing and make a bigger move.
Or if I come down 3 feet, I'll be able to run out with my line taut.
Yeah, and the point I was trying to make
looks
to him,
good.
Exactly.
Sure.
And I was like, the point I was trying to make to him was, when you make that swing, if you miss, it's catastrophic and it looks horrible, and you're actually going to hurt yourself in the score. Land it, and now your score's up here. But if you don't try it, you're going to be in the middle of the pack with everybody else.
But there's a fine line there. So Archie gets himself in it, and he'll go for those swings, and then handsaw will fall off.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's like beyond catastrophic. It's over.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
They're trying to reel him in. It's like, dude, you're a good climber. Just like get out of your head.
Like let it happen.
Yeah. You would never take that swing at work. You wouldn't take half of that swing.
Fair
at
enough.
work. Do stuff you're comfortable with.
Right.
Stop trying something new at a competition.
There you go.
Which you just nailed it. Yeah. Because you just said something that made me just go, that's it. Because at work, I would do the swings that I would take. Yeah, it's more exciting, and it's like, oh, I'm pushing it a little bit, but I would take that swing just 2 feet lower, at work, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you should be pushing yourself in the competition because you're on that level. But
my point is, like, let's say you go down and out the limb. At work, I would be taking the swing anyway, but the competition, you got to set it up where it's like a couple more feet past where I normally would jump anyway. So it's not that bad. But for somebody who's familiar with going down and out, that jump is a big risk to take. So
going a little outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, correct. There you go.
Not going
way
10 outside.
Yeah, there you go. It's no, it's I think again, this is we try to focus on the listeners and the covering the competition. Like, actually, I might even say this too, because I don't know if we started off with Glenn and I are both in the New Jersey chapter. I don't think we actually started off with that. We just assumed everybody knows, but I'm
back. Actually, they kicked me out after 17.
That's right. Yeah, we'll get you.
Technically, I live in Pennsylvania, but we work in Jersey. I'm from Jersey. I just moved on the other side of the river. Like literally, I walk to the Delaware on the path every day.
I kind of remember this.
Yeah, because I was out of state. After that, they're like, you can't represent New Jersey. So I had to go to the Rat Pack that's Pennsylvania, try to compete against, they got a lot of top guys.
Stacked. Yeah.
And that didn't work out so good. I would have made Masters one time, but I put my foot ascender above my knee ascender on the ascent.
Yeah,
didn't work.
No,
didn't work.
No,
and it just popped off. I'm like, what? Time I figured it out, I put it back on, and I flew up, probably the fastest I've ever gone up. And it was still not. I might have got a point.
Yeah,
not enough.
Interesting. That's crazy how they worked that out. So what did you have to do to get back in? Like they just looked at the bylaws and were like, well, he works here.
They changed the bylaw.
Okay.
Oh.
So you have to prove that you live or work in New Jersey to represent.
Or the state. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Well, the point I was just making is that we're both in the same chapter. Both helped each other in conversation, life conversation, tree conversations, being a better version of ourselves. And that's why, Jeff Immon with his the Smooth Saw podcast, that's his thing. Like, just competition is, he'll go off on other stuff, but like just the concept of how important the competition is to the tree industry and creating the standard to where all these people, including all the people, judges and techs, are also always trying to create these environments to where we can learn a lot from that and bring it back to work. You know what I mean? And then by doing that, you increase the safety levels and standards for your business. So that
absolutely,
yeah.
Think about the gear check. That alone, how many companies are actually checking their gear, not just noticing? Yeah, is that okay?
That's good.
It holds me.
Take it.
Hey guys, you are watching and listening to the Aging Arborist podcast. Thanks for coming along this journey with us. Brick and I are super excited to announce our very first sponsor, the Modern Group. Modern Equipment has been a very faithful sponsor to the New Jersey chapter of ISA, and we are also, at Tree Awareness, clients of theirs. We have bought several pieces of equipment from them, and they have been absolutely amazing. From the sales team to the service department to parts. If you're looking for equipment in the tree space or construction in general, please do yourself a favor and check out the Modern Group. They have 2 locations, one in Bristol, PA, and a brand new, just opening location in Tabernacle, New Jersey. You can go to moderngroup.com and check them out. Please, for all your tree equipment and construction equipment, go see the folks at Modern. They are second to none. I don't even know how you and I got onto this book thing.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, I just know because I don't know if it was just an offhanded thing that one day we read any good books lately kind of thing. I don't remember what the genesis of it was, but anyway.
I think I might.
Okay.
I think it was Crane School. You were reading Extreme Ownership in the morning.
Okay.
So that might have been the spark.
All right. And that was when were you, do you remember when you were in Crane School? I mean,
20, maybe,
okay.
19, 20.
That sounds about right. Because I think my first year as an instructor there was 2017. And so now, in fact, it's coming up. But Yeah. So anyway, the thing I thought about was, I just think about favorite books for me, in the tree industry. Modern Arboriculture by Shigo is one of my faves because of the pictures and the short topics. And to me, it's like perfect. You look, you see a scenario, you read his synopsis, flip the page, and you can jump in and out of that book anywhere in the book. And so like, that's a big one for me. Do you have a favorite? That and The Body Language of Trees for me was a big game changer.
I haven't read that.
That's one. Like, you want to just look at trees differently and just in terms of structure and tree risk assessment. The Body Language of Trees is a game changer. Well, it was for me anyway. So I'm just curious, and I'll ask you too, but like, do you have one or two books for you on the tree side that
on the tree side, I don't have I don't love those books as much.
Understood.
The Hidden Life of Trees, that was cool. Kind of. Okay. Have you read that one?
I have not. I'm familiar.
I have.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the.
Yeah.
Well, you the way you're talking about the other two books, 100%. You have to read this one.
Yep.
100%.
Yep. I've seen the woman wrote it, right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
No, I think it was a guy, a scientist in Germany. Is that correct?
That's the one where they're all interconnected and all the underground stuff, and it talks about mycorrhizal networks and
100%. That's in there.
He scratched some moss, thinking it was a rock, and it was a stump that was still green but cut down like years and years ago. So the forest around it was using that as to not break its
cycle,
communication or whatever.
But it also goes into that as well. But also, like, even when a tree falls, like there's so much it's happening in there that it's not just a forest of trees. And that's kind of the hidden life of trees. That's kind of the whole point, where you, in a way, it's giving you an insight into what is actually happening that we can't see with our eyes. That's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, I think there's like a big YouTube thing that I watched about that.
Okay.
So I didn't read the book, but I'm kind of like familiar, I guess, with the broader concept, as it were. But that's one that's
a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I just started reading The Nature of Oaks.
I'm reading that.
Are you? That's good, right?
Yeah, it's
What month are you on?
What's that?
What month? Because it goes by months.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I got, 3 or 4 months in, and now I haven't picked it up in about 3 weeks. But I think
I'm about the same.
Yeah.
It might have been a little longer than 3 weeks. So.
I was impressed with the whole winter. All right, we'll dive.
The Jays.
Hold on. You guys know. I don't know. The listeners don't know what we're talking about. So, what book is it again?
It's The Nature of Oaks.
Nature of Oaks. Okay.
I don't remember the author.
I want to say like Halloway or something. It's actually
right.
There's a guy so a customer gave it to me.
Okay.
She saw the guy speak. Like he came somewhere near here and gave a talk. Yeah, which I didn't see.
So yeah.
But anyway, it just talks about the importance of oaks in our sort of environment and how they're like pretty much the most integral tree. Like above all, they sustain more life. I was completely unaware of the fact that some of the insects and things live through the winter. Like they're alive out there.
Yeah. Like the caterpillars.
Yeah.
Like, what's that bird feeding on?
Exactly. Like there's this whole, you think they're all dormant and hibernating or dead or buried or in the ground. And no. Yeah. And it's interesting. I also,
the jays, the bird. Yeah, so apparently oaks and jays kind of came about at the same time. And jays can carry like 5 acorns in their mouth at a time. And they'll go around, they'll take the acorns, and they'll plant them and try to remember where they are. So they have food in the winter. But they plant each jay plants 1,500 or something. Each jay.
Yeah.
So obviously they're not going to remember all of them.
No.
So he had taken down a tree and ground the stump or something. So he had bare ground. And then he sees this white oak is growing out of it. He doesn't have white oaks anywhere near him. How did this get here? And he looked in it and
That's cool. Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And the weird thing is, for me, I like to plant trees. And for a while, like we offer it as a service and then don't and then do, and it based on staff size, like if we can handle for logistics and picking trees up and all that stuff. And I was never a big native or like indigenous plant guy. I was just like, oh, I want a ginkgo. I like them. Yeah.
That's a cool tree.
You know,
I want that one.
Yeah. So I planted, katsura and this and that, and I did plant a swamp white last. I think it's in its second year now. And I'm glad I did, but now I want to purposefully put some more oaks in because of that book. So, yeah.
That's cool. I'm getting a book.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And I need to, and thanks for the reminder, because now I feel like a doofus that I just haven't picked it up.
How do you think I felt last night? I got like 4 books started. I've been off for 6 weeks and I just haven't been in the right mind space to get into reading.
Crazy how that works, though. You do need to be in mindset to be able to go off in bookland. You know,
I think it depends on what you're reading. Like fiction, I think you could pick that up like it's watching TV, but I don't really read much fiction.
So yeah.
I don't read a lot of fiction. No. So go ahead.
No, I'm going to say. So I'm assuming we're going to jump to books that are not.
Well, I was just going to say, because we're big on self-development here on the podcast. And then when we gave our talk at Arbor Expo, that was the essence of the talk. A big section of it is, why is self-development important? So I'll lead with that. You're reading things like Extreme Ownership. And like we talked about that book, The Mountain is The Mountain is You. I started listening it to a second time just because the concepts were so deep. I would actually love to read the book.
Yeah, take notes. That's one you should be taking notes.
100%. There's just so much deep there. You just have to like dig through the concepts, because it's a book that can bring some healing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like, I felt when I was done with that, it was like a summary of all psychology ever.
Yeah.
In like, how long is it? A couple hours.
Yeah.
It's like, there was too much there. I lost it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was good. All really good stuff.
Yeah. So my question really is just like, I'll ask you, why is that aspect of reading important to you? How does self-development fit into your greater world? And how do you see it as fitting into the world of people doing tree work? Do you think it's important for people that just go out and do tree work,
So I think it's growth in general. Like, I crave growth and difficult things, challenges. And I was never a reader. I was terrible in school. I was not your picturesque student whatsoever. But I guess Todd read Extreme Ownership, and he had been telling me, it's like, this is a really good book, you should read it. I was like, I'm not a reader. I know how to read, but I don't read. And I read that, and that was one I couldn't put down,
Interesting. Yeah.
And then after that, it was kind of like, I learned so much from this book. Like, I'm missing out on so much information out there. The book is basically just someone else's trials and tribulations that I already went through it. Yeah. And they're giving me the cheat sheet to it. So why wouldn't I read it? And then you read one book, and that's your opinion. But you read a dozen, you can make your own.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of it.
Okay.
And I don't read as much as I listen.
Sure. Yeah, audiobooks.
So I got a half-hour ride to work in the morning, and I can listen to the same songs on the radio every day for the rest of my life, or I can get a half hour of value, you know, something that betters me in the long term. Mm-hmm. And after a few years, you get that compound growth, and it's like, all right, I'm actually getting smarter. This is weird.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
So, a big thing that we talk about is, I remember at our talk, the one thing was kind of like, why is this valuable to a person? It seemed you're in a room full of tree people, and we're all talking about gear and all the cool shiny things and grapple saws and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And you say to them, self-development, and like, why is this important? The self-development component, and I'm curious to know, I see my mind work sometimes ahead of itself. When you read Extreme Ownership, because I'm going to back up, you read Extreme Ownership and you're reading books that develop self and give you ideas and concepts. Are you able to implement these in your role at work with guys coming in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's not always directly.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you'll read something and be like, oh man, if I do that, it's going to do that for me. It's like, you do it and they're like, no, it doesn't always work. So you try something else.
Right. Yeah.
Throw enough shit at the wall, something's going to stick, right?
Yeah. There's a clip, Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see it now, you know. Hey, I'm sending out a teaser. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the leadership roles. So eventually I plan on taking over the company. And we've kind of been slowly transitioning into that. And leadership's a big part of that. No one wants to work for a boss, you know, want someone to lead them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's a deep, deep rabbit hole.
It is. Contending with oneself it's a lifetime of work for sure. So yeah, so you see the value. I mean, what would you say to somebody who, not that you're trying to talk into developing themselves in the tree industry, but like, you know, somebody comes in, a new person, and, you know, you're teaching them skills and abilities. You know, would you ever consider recommending a book to them and saying like, hey, listen, I think.
Yeah, I gave every one of our employees Extreme Ownership.
Okay.
Like, you guys all need to read this. You'll be a better person afterwards.
Okay. How was that idea received?
As you would expect.
Mixed.
You know, some people started reading it. They're like, this is really good. And some people don't talk about it at all. But I put it in their hands, and the rest is up to them. You can't force anybody to do anything. You can only inspire.
That's true. Yeah. So I think we both agree. We didn't even, Paul and I haven't even really talked with each other after Arbor Expo, like on the phone or anything. But I think we both agree that having that conversation, speaking at the expo, is, we don't have an issue standing on stage to speak about what we're interested in or passionate in, right? But bringing such a abstract idea subject to tree gear industry equipment ideas doesn't seem as a thing that doesn't fit in there. But we believe, and it sounds like you agree too, we believe that that's a component that does belong in there. It's already in there. It should be worked on. That helps everything else, right? So with that being said, with the people that don't, because like you said yourself earlier, you're the type of person that if somebody is hungry and wants it, no problem. But as soon as they're not interested, it's already lost on your part too, right? Where Archie will jump in and try to work it out, like, which is good to have him. But you gave everybody the books of the Extreme Ownership, the ones that were not interested in. What's your take on that? What's your thought process after that point?
I mean, I gave them the tool. It's up to them to use it or not.
And then, but that's it. Like
one thing I struggle with a lot, like at work, is like I see someone doing something, I know why they're doing it, and I can tell them exactly what they need to do to fix it, but it's not going to get through to them.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen. What do you think's going to happen? Is this and this? It's like, well, just make sure you don't do that because you'll die. You know, it's like keep them from doing that, but sometimes people still have to make their mistakes, and sometimes people are ready to take on that information. Kind of like your balloon analogy. You can only blow it up so much. Sometimes
capacity.
sometimes you're blowing, the balloon's over here and you're blowing over here.
Yeah. No,
they're just not ready for it. You know,
that's a really good point.
But when they are ready, they're going to have that book there.
Yeah.
You know,
if someone, let's say someone does buy in, you give them Extreme Ownership, they read it. You give them, The Mountain Is You, they read it. It's going to help them in their life. It's going to help them develop strategies and tactics and some wisdom in life. How does it help the team specifically? What couple ways would you see they come back? They're working on your team. What are a couple ways that you think that them taking sort of ownership of that reading, of that journey? So that's the thing. There's two parts of the journey, right? We have the technical side that we all know we can teach, right? This bean or this knot, this thing. When you do that, go over here, tie that there, cut this. Here's your notch. All that technical stuff. And that's one side of it. And they show up for work and they're skilled because they've learned the skills. And now we say, hey, there's this other side of life. It's you. You're the person. You're not just a technician. You're a human being with thoughts, feelings, emotions. Here's some tools to help that. And they gobble it up. How does it help in terms of them showing up for you to work? On a team with clients, what are some ways you think that shows up, I guess is what I'm saying. How does that manifest?
I mean, when people are hiring, what does everyone say? How do we hire? We hire for character. We hire for personality. You make them a better person, you're going to want to be around them. Everyone's going to want to be around them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's a tough question. How is being a better person going to make you better on the team? Mm-hmm. It's just going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are going to want to be around you inside and outside of work. And I mean, if it makes you a better employee, great. If it makes you a better person, then I'm proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I was able to help.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's it.
No.
Like that's it, right? Like,
it's the whole
you're
thing.
A teammate,
Yeah. The two parts that stick out is what you said. There's technician and the person, right? Professional and personal. And then you obviously closed the point by saying that it's a hard question because you're trying to understand how it makes the team better if the individual is better, and which makes sense. It's a no-brainer. I think the reason why it's tough is how do I say? It's the fishbowl mindset is what I'm saying. Like, you have the wrong fish in it. Like, you have 4 little happy fish and your one fish is mad and bites all the other fish.
Yeah. You have to make that a happy fish. You have to get rid of that fish.
Right. You know what I mean? So like that big fish can crush jobs, make you $1 million a year, or whatever those things are that feel like make a business operate in capitalism and everything else. Like, those are good things, but if it's at the expense of destroying people in the process, then that's where the problems come in, right? So that's like the hope with Extreme Ownership, the books, the speaking, how topics that we're talking about is just trying to get people to not be the big sharp teeth fish in the bowl that's messing up the dynamics and energy and flow.
I think there's a persona there too. It's like, oh, I want to make money, so I'm going to have to screw people. Yeah. I'm going to have to be dirty. It's like, that's just the way it is. It's like, no, it's not. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to be happy. Right. Money is pleasure. That's not happiness. Like, it's just one little piece of the pie.
I think capitalism gets a bad name based on what you're saying. Oh, yeah. Capitalism also and I'm just going to say it. Capitalism gets a bad rap because of that side of it. Because of the side of, in order to get up, I have to push down. In order to get ahead, I have to set back. In order to in order to win, somebody's got to lose. But honorable capitalism, honorable exchanges, you have something of value I want. You have the skill as a tree person. I have a property that I want to invest in and be beautiful and safe. I hire you. I'm happy to exchange that revenue, that money, for a service that I value or a product that I value. I have these journals, I buy the bullet journal brand because I like the little pocket and I like the little tassels, I'm happy to give my $34, whatever. And it's a win-win. They sell a product they have and I'm happy to exchange my money for it.
Yep. There's a dichotomy to that too, is you have to also charge that money. I know a lot of people, like when selling, it's like, there's a lot of money to me. There's a lot of money to me. Like, I don't know. I'll try to make it cheaper. But you keep making it cheaper, you're doing them a disservice because you're going to go out of business because you're not making enough money to keep the business alive.
Correct. No, 100%.
So there's a fine line, you know.
And
that's $34 book, but you like it. You want that company to stay in business.
I do. And it's, because I actually like a lot of their ideas and different things. Yeah, no, you make an incredibly good point because I'm a big fan of coffee, it's like,
no, I didn't. When did this start?
Touche.
Nice.
I just think that thought just got chased out of my head.
You're just making a point what you support.
What I was gonna say was I like to go to, like, if we go away somewhere, I'll hit a Starbucks. My preference is to sort of Google a little independent coffee shop somewhere, and people sometimes complain, it's $4 for a flat white or whatever. But if I like that coffee shop and I like the people in there and the conversation, the vibe, I want to willingly, and I'm not going to haggle over the cost of it. I'm just going to pay the cost of it because I value it. And like you said, if I want it to be there, I have to be willing to help sustain that.
Which, again, I don't know if you guys see it, but that is for me, that is the point of personal development. You just, in a way, that coffee shop is the team. You're being a part of that team by doing your part in appreciating that's what you're getting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I like that.
But like if you were not a nice person, you're like, screw them. I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts. And no disrespected. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. But the idea is that it's the corporation, and again, corporations got to do what they got to do. That's fine. But as personal development comes to play, that's kind of how I see it. It's like you make conscious decisions. Who you are and what you do affects where you're at, and what, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
So like that. Yeah. That's why I went back to you. Like, when the person doesn't want to read it, doesn't want to be a part of, because I work in a municipality, and it's more likely than not that those are the type of people I'm dealing with than I am ones that have an open mind. Like 99.9%.
Yeah.
So
they're there for a paycheck, not to get better.
Correct. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you're there. Why aren't you getting better? You're spending your time there to get the paycheck.
Yeah.
Regardless, why not get more out of it for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Learn something.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a thing. Like kicking against the goads. Like, that's a biblical thing, but it's like kicking against the spikes. Like there's thorns and you're kicking against the thorns. And it's a concept of, like, you're there, and a lot of times mentality is, and it could be at any job, municipality. I mean, it could be a small business. I've seen it, I'm going to do the minimal acceptable level, and I'm willing to put all this energy into doing the least amount possible to get the most amount of compensation. And it takes literal energy to do that. I'm going to hide over here. I'm going to say these things. When you could elevate your
Can't see it from my house.
Bro, right?
I hate that.
I
hate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hate it. Yeah. I like to say sometimes, I am a place where cliches go to die. There are certain phrases, we've talked about this before here, but we've also had this exchange, the whole, how you do anything is how you do everything. And it's just one of those things I don't buy it.
No?
No, because there's certain areas in my life that, like, my car is a disaster right now. You look in there, it looks like I live in it. My job sites aren't like that. So how I do everything isn't how I keep my car right now is how I keep my car. How I do a job site is you better blow the gutter off and get every stick out of the yard and let's fix the lawn. So my job sites are immaculate, my car's not. So
for now.
Right. Well, and I'll go in and I'll...
no, but like for now, meaning like how you... So, I don't know if it's tangent or not, but the thing is like how you do anything is how you do everything. Sounds beautiful. But I think it comes off as like everything has to be exactly at the highest level across the board. And for me, that's not logistically possible to sustain because there's so many avenues that we have to take care of that it's not possible to get everything to be at the highest level. For example, the car, job site, your wife, and I'm sorry, Archie, but Archie and your wife. Archie, you're going to suffer today, meaning you're not going to get whatever you need from me because my wife needs me to do something. But you're not going to give Archie less attention or respect or gratitude or whatever it is the next day when your wife is good. Now, Archie, you get the energy that she's good. Now you get it. You see what I mean? So I think that's kind of the emphasis.
That's a whole nother dichotomy there.
Yes, correct.
It's one I heard. Sometimes your family needs you more, and sometimes work needs you more. Mm-hmm. It's like you say family first. It's like, then why do you go to work every day? You could be with your family every day if they come first, but going to work's important too because you have to make a living and provide for your family.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. And another one was, and I'll just, since we're on this little thing, I'll take that little tangent because I know.
Here we go again.
I actually that's awesome. I actually made a post one time about this. I made a post about it because it just struck me fine. Like, why do we say the things we do? And this is the mentality. I go into the local Heritage to get a cup of coffee. It's in the morning. Bunch of work people in there, you know. And I walk in and I get my coffee and I'm just, hey, how's it going? You know, talking about the weather with some other guy making his coffee. We're having a little brief exchange, you know. And I'm leaving. He says, don't work too hard. And I went, yeah, all right, man.
No promises.
And so I'm thinking, I mean, there's so much there. Of course, I can just launch into, well, I guess he doesn't know I work for myself and I'm going to bring my best every day and blah, blah, blah. And I think, is that a mentality? Don't work too hard. Well, what else would I do? Like, what is it I'm actually trying to accomplish? So that's just one of those things. Don't work too hard. It's like, what kind of advice is that to give somebody? Give me the minimal acceptable level that you can get today to get your paycheck. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah. And someone along the line said that, and someone else is like, "Oh, that's kind of clever. I'm going to say that," and then it just went on. No one actually believes it.
And this is the exchange even we had with Mark, and I've done this for years too. Is like work smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. It's like work smart and hard. Let's combine the two. You know. So I love to dissect sayings, and I think a lot of it is cliches. Sometimes they're like the mulch volcanoes of verbiage. Meaning we see it or we hear it and we just redo it over. Here I am 30 some years into business and I'm still, and I had a guy a few weeks ago, why do they do this? I don't understand. Why are all my trees sick? Well, this is why. Why do they do this? Monkey see, monkey do. Like literally you drive by these complexes and you see it. And I think to some degree cliches are that. You hear it, you repeat it, and it just,
yeah, you can see the mulch when it's piled up.
Yeah.
You can't really see it from afar if it's like level.
No, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, but
someone decided they liked that, and that was that.
It's that transit, that...
you look at a lot of European landscaping. I don't get it. All them hedges.
Oh, the formal stuff?
That's what they like.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell clients, I'm like, I don't do little green meatballs in boxes. I can do formal.
Yeah,
not a big fan of running hedge trimmers across like broadleafed evergreens.
I just saw. Speaking of that, I just saw one. I feel Will was driving. I don't know if it was here or before I got up, but a Magnolia, Actually, it's by me. A maglet 20 feet, maybe 25. Mushroom. Perfect. It's just done. I mean, but with the head trim, it's perfect. So 25 high. Yeah, about equal. I would say, yeah, 15 to 20 wide. With all the flowers and everything. Just perfect mush. I'll take a picture and send it to you guys. I was just
it's the best it'll look all year.
Dude, it's crazy. You know? And I was like, I mean, that's what people like, right? What are you going to do?
At least they didn't do it over the winter.
I mean,
then it wouldn't have any flowers, and it'd still be a,
true, right? Yeah.
a penis.
I had to that went in my ear, and my brain went, did he just say that? I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's awesome. A green one. Yeah. Something wrong with that thing.
Yeah. But,
anyhow. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think I feel pretty good about the book segment, talking about self-development. Just to put a
Good to Great. That's number 2.
All right.
good.
That's a really good book.
Yeah. Yeah. I read
Jim
that a
Collins.
long time ago, man.
Read it again.
I was just going to say, yeah. Is it recent for you or like within the last 2 years?
Probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then I read it again last year.
Well,
So I give Todd a
what resonates with you? Like what sticks out in your mind just about it? Is there like one or two things you read and you were like, wow, man, like that was a mind shift for you?
The hedgehog concept is really
refresh
good.
my memory because I don't remember that.
So I don't agree with it 100%, but it's basically like find what you're good at, find what you can do better than anybody else in the world, and then put all your effort into that. Yeah. Be the best in the world at something. But I also feel like you can't, just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you should ignore everything else.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think it's good you're stimulating a thought. Way back when we had Dr. Shigo come, I don't know if it was at our chapter meeting or at an expo. I don't remember. I think this might actually have been an expo. And he was basically it was later in his career, and he was talking about trees, but he was talking about a lot more. And he was throwing concepts out there. And he said, I'm really not trying to give you these concepts as sort of locked in, rock solid concepts. I'm trying to get you to think. And he repeated that line probably 6 times throughout. He would stop periodically and just look at the audience and say, I'm trying to get you to think. And I realized when we take in literature, like we read something or we listen to something or, a podcast, it's not necessarily that my way and the way I see it is the way, or that a book writer, that's their experience. That's the way they see it. That's the lens at which they see life through, right? But if they can get you to think. So I love that you took in the information. You said, I don't agree with everything. I think that's perfectly great. The fact that you're sifting the concept through your mind and you're sort of wringing out of it what makes sense and you discard some. But it also, a lot of times when we listen to things, this is what I love about the conversations I have with Brick after the podcast or on a FaceTime is we think differently. There's a lot of alignment and resonance, but he's a different dude. But it gets your mind going. And that's why these conversations are so good. Because you're talking, I'm like, ooh, concept. And then you sift it through. And that's I think, really the strength of the book. You're not going to take a book like The Mountain Is You and be able to live every single concept that woman lays out. It's impossible.
Or any book.
Correct.
Any book. There's not a book that I know that is
100%.
Like, the miracle pill.
No.
That you boom, life's better. Yeah. So any book, really.
Yeah. I feel like if you could actually follow everything from Atomic Habits, you'd be pretty great.
Be immaculate.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
But if you could, anybody could, that's another good one.
I agree.
That's a really good one.
That was a shift. It's so weird too, because I read, and I don't know if you have this experience or if it's just like the lime brain. I listen to it, and when I'm finished, I'm like, whoa, man, and I have a couple nuggets, and now it's been a year since I've listened to it, and I feel like I need to listen to it again.
Yes, I do.
Like, did I remember any of that? Like, you're like hedgehog concept. I'm like, no, I don't. And then when you explained it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
No, it's because there's two things to that. One is I can listen to audio, but my brain will never register. Like, it just doesn't work that way, just because of how I grew up.
Yeah.
So there's always thing.
You had we had 20 years, right, before you got your implant.
Yeah, they're 22. Yeah.
So and you're not used to taking in information like that.
Yeah, and not only that, even after, like, my brain's already set in its way to where audio will, like, if you say a word, just the sounds alone don't ever, like, it doesn't stick to the wall, so to speak, right? But reading it, I won't forget, because that's how the brain's been trained, right? So my point is, audio is, how do I say? This is what I've learned along my studies: is your eyes are actually part of your brain, right? And I thought it was fascinating, but your eyes are actual part of your brains that are connected by nerves and everything, and see the world and right into it. Everything else is connected to it as well. But just think about it: your brain does have organ, and right, it's an organ that is out to the real world. So when you read it, I'm not saying is it because I can't prove it, but I feel like it's more impactful to the brain than hearing something. So that's what audio. The audio. You're listening to something with 6 other sounds. It could be that. Sorry, Ben. Or it could. You see what I mean? Or a car driving by. It could be the phone's ringing. So there's your brain trying to do a lot at once. But when you're reading, ideally, it's just you're reading the one thing. You're not reading 4 books at the same time on the table, right? So that's one point. Then just imagine, but know that the amount of information that our brains and everybody's brain takes in on a daily basis is insane. So remembering a book from top to bottom and then remembering that for 10 years, it's not going to happen. And that's usually why the hedgehog sticks out. I can think of Atomic Habits. The thing that sticks out was sit down for 5 seconds. That habit that you want to do. But literally do it for 5 seconds, get up and walk away. And it's easier to work towards the habit and build it that way. That's what I remember from that book, right? But the rest of the book, if you bring up something, I'm like, oh, I do remember that. I do remember reading it. But my brain just like, it's not that important now, So I just feel like for listeners, if you can, audio is good, but definitely get the books, sit down, make time, like you said, to get into the mindset and read. But that's what we become better people because of it.
Yep. Think about it next time you're looking at your phone, scrolling nonsense. I could be reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
Is this making me better? No.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's good stuff on there. I'm guilty.
I'm embarrassed to admit that there's times when I sit and I'll doom scroll for 20 minutes and think that exact thing.
Wake up and say, what am I doing?
I got a stack of books on the table at my
in arm's reach.
Like right there, and I'm like, I'm at the counter and
it's crazy.
I'm like a vegetable drooling into the drooling into the carpet, and I've got 3 books in a stack over there, and one of them's
it's all designed,
book, and it's like, what?
I love it.
That phone will tap that dopamine so fast.
I'm fascinated by it because it's we Atlantic City, we had the Chewy conference, and and I just know this from books. Reading another book is Irresistible. That's another one. If you want to dive into it, check it out. But visually, I just love the concept of how crazy it is that you see people gamble. They pull, and it spins and it stops. But what if you just went like this one time and you stood at it, and it just keeps going? You'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" It's like, well, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
We're just there's no like and stop. It's constant. So
it's crazy that there's no bottom.
That's what I mean. Like, it's so crazy that like it's.
You gotta lose service.
Yeah.
And when it does, you're like, what the hell?
Come on, refresh.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's
how screwed up are we, man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So since we had book topic, Irresistible. I'm not gonna dive into it, but the general idea of it is technology, how it's come into human life, humanity. where it's at, and then it's not so much to get rid of it, but just understand the mechanisms that are behind all the devices that we have. And then it's a great insight. Yeah. So it's something for you guys.
Yeah, it's a brain hack. It's a brain hijack.
Yeah, exactly.
All the reward chemicals, you know.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that's a good deep dive. What's amazing to me is how, and this is just a complete side. Yeah, but we're good with it.
Sure.
I mean, literally how they hijack your reward system, and even with how they send you everything you want, like the algorithm learns, then they're trying to turn us into like giant consumers too.
Yeah. Well,
so here, you know,
they're not trying. They did.
Well, right. Right. And how easy they make it, you know, click here and boom. And now you're on someone's site looking at like men's bracelets or whatever. Yeah. These skulls are cool. And now,
cool idea.
Or I look something up and then I get 17 things on my Instagram and I'm just like, I don't want that. Like, yeah, the algorithm.
I heard one story. It was like the phones listened to you. So the wife was like just yelling at the phone, wedding rings, wedding dress into the husband's phone.
That's great.
He's in the shower. He's like, yeah, right? They'll start popping up. Give him an idea.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw someone the other day showed how to turn off the Google listening. Like when we give approval for things, like accept, you're accepting terms and conditions that you really don't want.
Yeah.
Like they have rights to your microphone, your pictures, and it's just like, I want to get a Faraday sleeve and put that thing in there like 9 hours a day.
I don't know, what is that?
It blocks signal.
Oh, okay,
like you put it in a Faraday sleeve. Like if I'm working, doing trees, put it in a Faraday sleeve and leave it in my truck for 3, 4, 5 hours, however long until I pull it out and look. I can't be tracked. It can't listen to me. It can't do anything. And never thought I needed one.
But you're a business owner and you can't do that.
I know. It's like an anchor.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oddly.
Yeah. It's kind of scary in a way. And there's days I would just really love to get a vacation.
Well, I will say this. The end of that book is about that. It's not about getting rid of it. It's a fiber of the whole thread that we have of life. It's a fiber now. First of all, you can't get it out, but don't try. Just understand, like you said, like make your moves based on what it is, and then just accept it as a part of the thing. But if your dumbass is sitting there at 2:00 in the morning scrolling, I'm like, ooh, then that's on you.
Yeah, and then wonder why your sleep sucks.
Exactly.
And then try talking to God bless, an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid who's grown up with it.
I know. Yeah.
My generation, we didn't. I mean, I didn't have this till at least like halfway through my life. Yeah. I lived half a life before these things even existed. The only time you had a phone where you could see the person was on the Jetsons, the cartoon. It was like, could you imagine having a phone where you could actually see someone? Yeah, there it is, right there. It's called FaceTime.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it.
So anyway, so if we've exhausted that, I just want to dive into the contention of, so do you want to introduce like kind of a thing, or you want me to just, and then I'll ask him a couple questions like about the accident and stuff, or
I would say let him.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to kick it off. So recently, we're friends obviously with Todd too, but Todd called me and told me that Glenn had a fall from a tree, that everything's okay. Everything's good. And it's hard to hear when somebody we don't know has an issue, and every day somebody's getting hurt, in this industry. Here he is. He's fine. Everything's cool. But we just think it makes sense to unpack, as we kind of did with Derek with his issue, and then also with Tatey with the young man and fatality that he had at his thing. It's just important to have these conversations. And one of the things you'll see as we unpack it, like everything was done right and there was still an issue. It's just trying to shine a light on things and understand that as a community, we just really need to be vigilant. And here's a high level person who works. I have a lot of admiration for Forrest Glenn. Knowing you guys, working with you guys at work days, and the footprint that you have, your volunteerism. I always see the red shirts in numbers showing up at events. It's meaningful to me. I feel I don't know. This might sound a little foo-foo or weird, but for some reason, it makes me feel safe, like supported, like my friends are here, kind of thing.
We got you.
Yeah,
you definitely do. Yeah, but basically, no, you can keep going. I'm just gonna say that it's a beautiful representation of a solid team that upholds high standards.
No doubt.
So it makes sense that when you guys are around, there's a sense of like, you know what, professionalism. We're high level people. We're safe. So I'm with you.
And just the fact that, it's like they've created a barn. I call it like, we say this company has a barn of climbers. Like they have a barn, a staff of like high level performers, and it's because of their ethos, right? So they bring people in, they train them. And knowing your brother, and that he's, quite a bit older than you. So I've seen his progression. Then he brings you in your progression. Archie, all the other guys, Colton.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm getting to know these guys. So we know. Oh, and then like at Saluting Branch, I think Mason went over with you guys and had a really great exchange with Archie. Like, somebody's solid when you kind of want your kids to like, go over. I'm going to go see what those guys go see what those guys are doing. Go see what they want. If they need anything, go over there.
Definitely.
So, I guess what I'll do is just kind of have you walk through, what happened and kind of how you're doing and, any insights you might have to share that might, help anybody else. That's really what it's about, right? First of all, thank you for being willing to come in. This was, by the way, short notice. We had another guest, and Brick and I coming off of Expo. There was a lot going on, and we usually have a list. I jokingly said to Glenn, "You're on the short list." Like he's over there. We have a list on a whiteboard.
I'm just wildly available right
now. So we had to make that call. It was like Brick and I were saying, all right, there's a couple guys locally that we know are within range to be able to come. Mm-hmm. We knew you were available because of the accident, but also thought it was a great opportunity to go ahead and sit down and talk about it. So that's kind of where we are. But I appreciate you, number one, coming on short notice. Number two, just being willing to be open and transparent and kind of sit down and hack through it. I think, it says something about where you're at in this industry and the character of the person that you are, that we know you to be. So, yeah.
It's been the most fun I've had in weeks.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
But, so I was on a client's property. So I had already taken down a couple smaller trees, pruned did some weight reduction on a honey locust, and the last tree was a river birch. It was about 35, 40 feet tall, about the same wide. It was, honestly, I was just talking to the guy on the ground. It was like, that's a specimen tree right there. And it's like, yeah, I'd like to keep it that way. But after the last few years we had, it looked like it was suffering from some drought stress. So there were some bigger dead pieces. There was a bigger low lead over the deck we wanted to get off. And then the tops were kind of dying back. I was up there. I did the one side. When I was up there, I was inspecting it. And so the lower branches had like big prominent buds. Super easy to tell it was alive. Mm-hmm. And in the dormant season, it can be tough to tell what's actually dead and what's kind of just struggling.
For sure.
And the stuff in the top, the buds were like half the size. So I would kind of shake a branch and it would tell you, it's like, all right, there's nothing on that. That's dead.
Yep.
So it's really getting deep to what's actually dead, trying not to just top the tree because it looks like it might be dead. Yeah, so I did the one side and moved over to the other side. I was using a moving rope system as I was just changing my tie in a lot, small trees, and I was in the top of the other side, standing in a crotch. I did the whole top. And then when I went to go down to finish the tree, my foot was in the crotch, and they can have a more narrow crotch. So my foot was kind of jammed in there. So I'm in the lead. I'm tied in like right here. And then I got my lanyard right here in this one. I kind of grab both and pull myself up. pull my foot out. And when I did that, the right snapped and then the left immediately snapped. And so I'm falling backwards, kind of seeing the twigs go by. And all I can think of is, holy shit, am I actually going to hit the ground? Because I've had like times, you're over a sucker a foot or two.
Yeah.
And it breaks when you're least expecting it, because that's the only time it'll break.
Exactly.
Or you're standing on a branch and you put a little more weight than you should have, and that breaks and you fall. So like I'm familiar with that feeling, but you're always caught.
Yeah, that 0.5 seconds of oh crap, and you're like, oh,
yep,
the pucker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then, I'm falling, and then somehow managed to flip myself over and land on all fours, and knock the wind out of myself, and kind of hit my face on the ground. I was never unconscious. Broke my nose right where my safety glasses go. The wife will tell you it's really crooked, but I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad.
Have you seen this?
Thank
thing?
you.
Exactly.
I broke the nose. I scratched my whole face up, which I didn't realize at first, but I think that got me into the ER a little quicker.
It looks bad.
Yeah, the wow factor. It's like, his face. You can see what's wrong.
Yeah.
But then I broke my humerus, snapped it completely off, and separated it. So it was actually like next to the ball for about a week.
Shoot.
Yeah, it was like out. When it happened, it kind of felt like dislocated.
Yeah. Because it wasn't connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was dislocated, just not out of the socket.
Yeah.
Not like you would think. And then I broke my radius right here, kind of the corner there. So not super bad. And then I tore my ACL. And so MCL. Did I say ACL? MCL. Yeah. So that'll heal on its own.
See, I listen.
Yeah.
See,
he does.
Raina, I listen. That's for the life, just in case.
That's right. But yeah, so I got taken to the ER. A lot of pain. They gave me CAT scans. Obviously, they ask if your neck or back hurts. It's like, yeah, everything hurts.
Yeah.
And took CAT scans and found what was wrong. Moved me to another hospital where it's for 6 days or 5 days, and I got surgery. Got a plate and like 10 or so screws. Hold it back together before they could cut me loose. Now we're almost 7 weeks out from the accident. Just got cleared for PT. It is really nice being able to actually do something. Yeah, until PT, I could get that arm up to about here.
Okay.
And then this is still like dead straight.
So is the wrist healed now? Like the wrist is healed?
So it's healed. It's just tight.
Now it's mobility.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be working that thing, trying to get mobility restored.
Yeah. Still probably be some more calcium build up on them, but
Exactly. You're doing PT on the wrist too, or is that?
I'll start PT on the wrist next week.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Same place.
Same place.
Okay. Cause that'd be annoying.
Like every day.
Yeah.
Go here, go over here, but
it's all the same place.
Yeah. Okay.
But everything else is somewhere different.
Okay.
I feel like I've been to every St. Luke's in my area.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean,
So PT or time horizon. Have they given you 8 weeks of PT and then you should be good to go, or is it kind of like 6 weeks? We'll reevaluate, see how much range of motion you have.
I'll go back in 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will they re-image everything?
They take X-rays every time.
Okay.
I'm getting my
Exposure.
on for sure.
No doubt. How many rads do you have? You know?
It's funny. The wife's going to school for that right now.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh
So she can tell me all about that radiation I'm getting.
No doubt.
Yeah, after you get it. Yeah, after, right?
It's like, they did what? School taught you this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, too late. What do you do now?
So in terms of, I know Brick, Brick asked you coming in, mentality wise and all, like, you think you'll have any issues return? Like, are you looking forward to just getting back in the trees kind of thing? Like, you're ready to?
Yeah, I'm not rushing it.
Yeah.
And also, I'm kind of at the point in my life where there's gonna be a transition.
Okay. Yeah.
At some point soon.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of taking this as an opportunity to try to, because I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always easier to do something when you have to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there, and I mean, this is just getting in a little bit of business side of it. I didn't realize, like, is he looking to step away soon, or like just at some point, or kind of like?
So it's in his head.
Okay.
I wouldn't say soon.
Okay.
It may be never.
I got you.
I kid with him with that sometimes. He's like, you're going to have to take this over one day. And it's like, yeah, like you're ever stepping away.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Exactly.
Come on. You can't stop working.
So I don't know if you have anything jumping out at you question wise that you want to address or ask.
No,
I just want to leave a little space.
No. It's just more for the listeners' mindset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for the listeners, when you told the story, the two limbs you're holding that snapped. One was the tying point. The other one you had your lanyard around. So you were tied in twice, because that's the part. It's important too. Because most people are like, where were you tied in? We talk about fear of heights and all that stuff. Now you add this to it, so people are like, well, this is why. And it's like, no. Like, I don't know if you feel this way or not, but is it more of like, this is one of the things that happens. Don't try to tie this to fear of heights. Don't try to tie this. Like, have you thought of that out? Like, let's go with the people that work with you. Do you still have apprentices? Or they kind of graduated?
We're looking for apprentices.
Okay.
Hint. Anybody out there?
Throw it out there.
But yeah, we got a couple of younger guys. They're advanced apprentices. Okay. I mean, everybody's an apprentice. I'm an apprentice.
Okay, so
I'm always learning. Always learning.
Always, correct. Always a student, correct. No, so like my mind is going to, and this is how I am, but like we just talk about the self-development books, this and that, and going to the people that you gave extreme ownership to that did not read the book and not really ready to take that journey. This happening, what does that do for them? That's what I think, because everybody that's listening, this is like, what is the point of these things? Is to learn from it, right? And help one person at minimum.
Yeah. So I think initially, it shook up like Archie and Colton the most, because they're like, that's Glenn. Like, he's like the safer guy. Like, how can that happen to him? And then the wives start getting worried. Like, if it can happen to him, like, it's definitely going to happen to you. It's not, it can happen to any one of us at any time. Anything can happen. You try to mitigate that risk as best you can. But for the younger guys, hopefully it just opens their eyes a little more. And, it's like you get to a point, I feel like, early on where you see things getting done, but you don't understand why they're getting done or why they're possible that they are getting done, Just mitigating risk. Like, I might tie into something really small running a single rope, but I'm redirected 6 times. So even if that breaks, I'm a small fall and the risk really isn't bad. So sometimes people see that and it's like, oh, he tied into that tiny thing. I can tie into that. I'm smaller than him. But kind of think about that twice, Hopefully they just stay a little safer because of it.
There's a point I want to drive home, because the listeners don't know these guys. And that's one of the reasons I went off on the Forest Glen thing in the beginning, is so that, I see it on the internet and it actually drives me a little bit batty when I see someone will post something up about someone cutting, say. something will happen, and then the peanut gallery chimes in with all of their evaluations and all of their infinite wisdom.
The tree police?
Yeah.
Tree police, correct, yeah.
And I see myself as a student as well. All these years I'm practicing modern arboriculture, right? You know, like I'm still practicing. And I'm actually on the hard side of the statistics. Whenever I go out and do tree work, I'm on the bad side, because if you listen to Dr. Ball over the years, most of the accidents occur to people early in their career when they're novices.
Is it first 2 or after 8, right?
Yeah, or I think it's like, and then on the 20-year plus side, it goes way up. First of all, because we can get hurt easier for whatever reason. Our bodies do not handle, like that fall for me at my age at 60 would look a whole lot different, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're pretty jacked though. You'd be all right.
So anyway, yeah.
See how I puffed that ego a little bit?
Yeah, like that. Ego is necessary.
Stick around a while.
Yeah, there it is. I'm coming back.
Yeah, I want to make sure. Right,
Yeah.
right. Hey, could you do episode 15? I just want to make sure people understand that, you know, and they don't know you, but we do. You're not just like some guy who doesn't think about the safe things. You're a high level operator. You're a high level competitor. You competed at ITCC. Like, you're someone that knows things and evaluates and uses your mind. And by the way, you're in self-preservation mode also, especially because of a fear of heights. Like, you're not looking to do what happened. And I think some of us, and I know this to be true of myself when I was younger, especially, there's that little bit of a daredevil element, right? Like you said, thrill seeker, I'll call it that. But back in my day, whatever, daredevil, meaning maybe I was taking risks I shouldn't have. And as I matured and learned and grew and understood more about what we were doing, I was getting rid of that cowboy sort of mentality. And it happened early on. I didn't know I was a cowboy early on because of who I was working for. And then my stint at Bartlett made me realize, like, all these practices, they need to go away. We didn't do 100% tie-in, you know?
Yeah.
And then
different times.
Right.
No one did.
Correct.
Yep.
And then I did. And now I wouldn't have it any other way. But I'm rabbit holing here. But I also have had children, my children, go up and do tree work. And sometimes when I hear or see an event of someone that, I remember when Bert had an issue. You know, Bert's another guy that's been around forever. And I think he had an issue with some leaves getting into one of the cams on his Ascender, and he fell, like, slid down his rope. This is back probably 15 years ago. And that was hard. So you start to evaluate your own self, your own processes. I think a lot about, say, like a trapeze family or a high wire family, that this is what they do. There's a family called the Great Wallendas. They've been walking tight ropes for generations, you know. It's what they do. But to say I'm a father who has children that have done tree work and are currently doing tree work, I say to myself, how could a responsible dad, like, let their, you know, my son's out there right now in the field and anything can happen at any time. My wife's always like, his mother, always like, yeah, if anything happens to him, I'm thinking, oh my God, like, I couldn't live with myself. So I think what happens is when
but you can't live your life in fear.
Correct.
Then your kids can't drive either. You can't travel anywhere.
100%.
You can't go outside.
Yes.
You might get a mosquito bite out there.
Put them in the plastic
You're gonna
bubble.
forgive yourself then?
Yeah. No, and thank you for saying it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm leading, is like, it's important to say that, and this is what we do, and we try to mitigate risk. The point being is, I just want to take experientially what happened to someone who operates like I know you guys do, as personally as yourself, but also as a team, and that your brother's been doing the whole time I've known him. For just the people to just, you know, open their eyes. And it's in carpentry, they have a thing. We don't have an equivalent, but they say, like, measure twice, cut once. We need some kind of an equivalent, like, you know, double check and then make a move or whatever. We need some kind of a little, although at the risk of developing a cliche. But, you know, I think it's just important to, I guess, listen to the story, hear it, pause, take the valuable lesson out of it that, you know, maybe you can bounce off of this idea is there's an element of risk. We mitigate as much of it as we can, and things can still happen. Let's not blindly go into our days thinking that we have it all covered. That's the thing I want to drive home.
Also, don't go in thinking it doesn't matter at all. You know, there's the flip side of that is, you know, you got your Cowboys going out there and it's like not tying in twice. And you're adding one thing, taking one thing away that could save your life.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So you got to find, you can't be scared of doing it because there's a possibility of something happen.
Sure.
Because there always is that possibility.
Yep.
And sometimes if you can prevent what's on your side, what you can control, then that's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, and that, I was going to say, that's what we talk about this a lot, and we say it as control the controllables.
Yep.
Right. But I found it interesting that we talked about this outside before we sat down at the desk was, you know, the weak link in that was the tree. It wasn't your system. It wasn't your approach. And we talked about that as I remember the ropes getting stronger and all the rigging, all the things that we use in the tree got so strong that the tree. So back in the day, here I go, right? I can remember I overstressed ropes and snapped ropes. Well, to do that now, if you're using even just a 1/2-inch stable braid, 1/2-inch double braid, you know, 11.5, 12.5, 10.5, depending on manufacturer,
you put
that's a pretty big piece. You know, even working load limits being what they are, you're putting a lot of stress on the tree itself. So now the tree, and this is, I remember this progression, evolution, whatever you want to call it, that the tree is now the kind of the weak link in many of the systems that we have. So
talking to my physical therapist, and I'd been going for a few times already, and talking about it, he's like, wait, the tree broke? He just assumed that it was a malfunction of some of my gear. I'm like, oh yeah, can't break any of the stuff I used to climb on. The tree's the weakest point. We're the only industry that doesn't have a rated tie-in. And he's like, but what about rock climbers with their, like the things they put in the rock? I'm like, that's rated. Depending on what rock you have, like,
right.
That's still rated.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a really
great point. So with that being said, hindsight sucks, right? So in hindsight, with your memory of being in that situation, would you do it differently? Obviously the answer is yes, because you fell. But do you think there was a moment in that being like, this is not the best tying point, this is not the best thing? Did that ever come across your brain at all?
While I was in the tree?
Yeah. Even with the arborist mindset of being like, okay, drought affected the tree, because we're talking about the tree being the weakest. So your arborist mindset of putting all these pieces together, was there ever a sense of like, I'm not in a healthy river birch?
Yeah, I was aware of that, for sure. And the other side, I actually tied in one lower than I wanted to.
Okay, because of that.
And then, well, I was also just starting the tree, so I was kind of, you know, I tied in a little lower and then made a cut and see what I was feeling, what the wood was looking like at that point before I moved along. Yeah. And then over there, it's like, I know a couple guys that wouldn't use this, but it's a river birch. River birch it's got those fibers. They're super strong.
Yeah. So you adjusted your brain, like, I think it'll be good, and then you moved over.
As with the fear of heights, you always go to the worst case scenario and work away from that. Yeah. But it still wasn't enough. And in the hospital, like immediately, whenever something happens, it's like, what did I do? Yeah. What did I do wrong? What could I have done different? And I mean, I could have done a single line with like a base anchor, but then I'm pulling, you know, how much rope am I going to need to pull in a 30-foot river birch? You know, I was in the tree for probably 20 minutes. It was 3:00. It was the end of the day. Just, you know, one little thing to run through. Make this tree a little safer for the homeowners. and then go home.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
Still going through the steps, going through the safety, but
yeah.
So little side pivot. How did the wife? How is your wife? I mean, obviously, getting that call is never good because they're kind of like running through things. Say like
I actually hid from that call. So the guys on the ground, they called Todd. Kind of funny. They're like freaking out. It's like Glenn fell out of a tree, and Todd's like, "What? Is he alive?" It's like just told him he fell out of a tree.
Yeah, you got
like, what?
Yeah,
yeah. It's like
So, yeah, but and then I'm on the way to the hospital in the ER with my brother, and Todd calls. So I'm talking to him. And he's like, "You want me to call Shawnee?" I'm like, can you do it when you drop me off? Can you just like wait a minute? I'm like, I was still in shock, so I was just like focused on breathing. Like,
yeah. So
So
I guess
But I mean, she handled it all right. We called her when we knew there was nothing life threatening. Mm-hmm. Like, we're gonna be all right. We're not coming home tonight.
Right.
You can be here. Come see us.
You guys been together a long time?
Actually, coming up on 10 years.
Okay, cool.
Next month.
Awesome. So like weeks.
They also have 2 kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got 2 kids too. For the listeners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not just wife. It's also
right.
Wife. And I'm a dad, 2 kids.
Yeah.
So that also plays into it as well.
Big part. Yeah. That's probably the saddest part. Like seeing them, like his dad is Mr. Invincible.
Yes.
Like, no one is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they were troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, my big thing, and I guess, I know there's that instant conversation, you get the call when you're on your way. And I'm just curious, like, have you guys had conversations about, but sometimes I remember one tree I was doing in Woodbury. It's probably one of the bigger ones still in my career that I did. The wife came out around lunch, and I remember she had Michaela on her hip. And I think they just take for granted, like you go in and out every day. And she's looking, this was 120 foot massive tree, takedown, big tree. And, I remember like
Kayla on the hip. How long was that?
Yeah, right.
25, 27 years ago. Like I was
back when trees were big, right?
I was a much younger man, put it that way. Anyway, my point is that, they don't always see it, and then she comes out and sees it, and it's like you don't think about it, and then you kind of think about it like, that's crazy, So post-accident now, we're weeks out. How's her mentality now? Like,
yeah, let me put it this way. If it's like, does she have, because I'll back up. My wife has always been loving and supportive of everything that I do, especially when it comes to trees. But at the same time, she's always like, I don't want to hear about stories. Like I'm not, it's because it freaks me out. So anything close call, this and that, like I'm happy for you, but keep quiet. You kind of a thing. So has Shawnee, right? So has she changed? Like now, as you work your way back in whatever shape or form, is that a conversation that you guys have, or is it more of like what to do and I support you regardless?
She definitely supports me regardless. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's solid. Honestly, she's just been enjoying seeing the gore and the. She's into that kind of thing, She's not like me.
Yeah.
But no, she's solid, supportive, whatever I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she jokes.
Because they worry about us. This is your mate, right? This is your partner in life, right? So sometimes I'm all about it, but like, please don't do that again. Yeah, that's all.
Don't be a fucking idiot.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Basically what it is.
Yeah. When it boils down to it, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, but
cool.
And that's it. I mean, I think to recap for the listeners. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it is we said this on when Athena was on. The purpose of the story isn't for what's the word I'm looking for? Isn't for who's right, who's wrong. Like that's not the point of it. The point is to tell the story. Thankfully, you're still here. You know, as generic as that sounds, but that's number one. And then as a nice reminder that in the progress of efficiency, also just keep in mind that we are dealing with a living organism that, depending on the seasons, challenges, and all that stuff, do change. You know, it's you know, like you said, river birch. I know a river birch, but a river birch through 3 droughts and high winds or whatever, like it changes. You know, the same thing. So it's essentially do the diligence of being, and this is where I like to get woo, but like tapped in to a little bit more than just what you know about the trees. You know, and I'm not saying that with you, but just the concept, like tapped in more kind of a thing. And then to use, right away, because Todd also called and this and that, and right away I was like, it changed everything. Not that I wasn't there, but just another notch up higher. I was like, 100%. All right, I'm more dialed in, tuned in. You know what I mean? Like I can't hear. So when
you got to go to New Zealand this year, right?
Well, see, I gotta help. I gotta represent for you. Exactly.
I just got out of your way.
That's funny.
Sick. That's a sick way of looking at it.
I'm just gonna sit here and listen. I like this part.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, right after that, it was that was my first response. Was like, I'm still gonna do what I do, but there is a little bit just more tapped in. It's the only word I can think of right now. So for the listeners, my point is, without going too far off, is use this to kind of get yourself dialed in more. You know, we're tuned in to more than just the knowledge that we have and the ability to do the thing that we do. And that's why I appreciate you sharing the story.
Yeah, I think a big thing like learning for me too is I'm a limit pusher. So I always push the limits. And how do they test ropes? How do they know when ropes are going to break?
Yeah, they test the limits. They pull it till it breaks.
You have to break it. Yeah. So there's lots of situations where like it's not life or death, but you can do that. If you're in a bucket and there's, you know, you got a rope a piece, but it seems a little small, you'd be surprised what things can actually take. But sometimes you'll be surprised what they can't take. But when you're in those situations where it doesn't really matter, pay attention.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice. Yeah.
Making mental notes the whole entire time.
You don't learn how to chunk a piece out and get it to land flat on a manicured lawn. But if you're not practicing in the woods, you're never going to get it.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's a fantastic point. I do that with guys with like you drop a big piece, like you flop a tree and there's a limb sticking up. I'll tell Mason, I'm like, notch it and drop it. Like it's a limb sticking up. I'm like, see if you can make it go where you want. It's already on the ground. Like, you know, when you have to make a critical drop, that's a rep you get to have without it worrying about hitting the shed.
Yeah, we'll put a stick in the ground. It's like, hit this.
Yeah. Yep. No, I love that.
Yeah. We have a point scale for landing logs flat, 0 through 10.
0 through 10, okay.
10 is a perfectly flat.
I love it. It's my favorite.
Todd got pissed because it's like you can't land 2 10s in a row. It's like I drop 10s all day, buddy.
All day, baby, let's go.
My favorite is when you give it a little adjustment and make it land flat.
Yeah, right at the end.
Yeah, and Mason will go like, dude, and I'm just like, I don't know how to.
No, Tai Chi.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's but it's a game. It's fun. That's awesome. One of the things I just want to touch on because it's making me think is, and this really, and I don't know if you guys are wired like this. There are a lot of us in this industry that are hammers, right? And when you're a business owner, a lot of times there's this delicate balance between production and safety and quality, right? That's a 3-legged stool of business kind of thing. And I've really gotten better at not necessarily like rushing guys out of here or like, come on, let's go, and make people uncomfortable to where I know that safety factor is decreasing. But it's making me, the thing that keeps coming to my head is pause. Like just pause. Like it's such an underrated thing, whether it's dealing with emotional dysregulation where things are getting keyed up, and Jocko calls it detach. So just detach, and it doesn't have to cost you 10 or 15 minutes. It can be literally a 5-second pause. And I'm just thinking in anything, it's like, we talked about chunks earlier, and I talked about my little process. Okay, set the rigging, thread the rope through the ring, tie whatever you're going to tie, set it. Everybody ready? Yeah, you good to go? Yeah, you're good to cut. I'm ready to cut. And this is just one example. Pause. What's wrong with a 2-second pause? And sometimes I'll say to my guys, hey, if I'm just feeling like a certain kind of thing, I might just say to them, are you guys seeing anything that I don't see? Is it because they know more or know less? Or why would I ask that of a guy? No, you know what? It's perspective. I'm up here and I'm surrounded by all this, and I'm right here. You're down there and you're looking from here. Is there anything you see I don't see?
There's been times where it's like, tight drop zone, you're rigging out a tree. All right, everything's got to get rigged. You're rigging. And you get to one, it's like, man, it's kind of tough. You start tying it on, and they're like, you can drop that. Like, huh. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah.
I was in the zone.
Exactly.
We're rigging.
Yeah. Perfect scenario. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember I had that. This girl Cheryl that worked from years ago. I'm in I'm doing a pin oak, not a big tree, maybe like not even 18 inches, maybe 16. Limit it. I'm in the corner, chain link fence here. There's plants around. Same thing. I'm working it up, and I'm ready to rope this piece. And I look at her, and she looks at me, and she goes like this. And I went, because I was working this way. I had a whole lay behind me for like 20 feet of top. I look at her, I go, I set the rope, came down, notched it, and
oh, that's the best. You rig it out and you can blow your top.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
You know what I mean? But it was like that thing where I'm doing my thing. So that's a really great example. But yeah, that pause, man, I think it can really just help us out in so many different scenarios.
I think that's big for the young guys too. Trying to really, really let them know, like, tell me, you see something. Please say something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see everything just because I've been doing it for longer than you. Like, sometimes, you have a different perspective and you're going to be able to see stuff like that.
Even if you're nervous about it. Not you, them.
Yeah.
Because they might be like, but no, there's a reason why you're nervous. Please tell me what you see. Because maybe the thing that you see is the thing that I don't see. You know what I mean? Because most people are like, I have to be confident to tell you something. No. Like, you're nervous. If you're nervous, please say it. And then, if anything, it'll be something you help with, or it'll be something I'll teach you about. Because if let's say you're nervous about something that's not a concern, then you can, right? You can help and like, so watch, this is what's going to happen.
I can ease your mind a little bit on, why you don't have to be so nervous about it.
Exactly, yeah. So it works both ways.
Yeah. You don't ask a question, you look dumber for not knowing later.
Yeah.
Well, there's a thing, and I don't know what it's called. It was taught to me in a safety meeting one time. But it can happen a lot of times in high-level training where you have, like, I think about Crane Safety Climber School all the time, and you've got this you talk about imposter syndrome. I go there every year, and I'm like, why did they invite me to instruct at these things? Like, the list of people that's there, it's just insane. But you have something like that, and somebody's doing something wrong.
I think that's the halo effect.
Is that what it's called?
The halo effect. So, Crane School, they actually taught, they didn't say the halo effect.
Yes.
But you want to make that first pick, like take a little extra time and make it come off perfect.
Yeah.
Because then your crane operator is going to trust you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I try the horn effect. So you make that first one real bad and they'll watch you.
Yeah.
Because I'll get that. Yeah. It's like, I've done a fair amount of crane work, but I'm not phenomenal at it. Like,
okay. Yeah.
Like Dan Lawton, he is top notch.
Yep.
And like, I'll come on and be like, oh yeah, it's Glenn. He knows what's up. And it's like, not as much as you think. Like, I'm going to fuck this one up on purpose. So you like start paying attention.
Yeah. So, wait, that came off weird.
Yeah. What, you weren't watching?
Yeah. But just to go back to the halo effect, just so everybody knows, like, you have someone that, especially in a group. So like maybe I have a little insecurity or I'm in that group and I'm like, I've got you, I've got Derek. I've got brick, and I see this thing happening, and I go, well, it's Dan. Dan's the one cutting. Dan knows. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not saying anything because I'm like, well, I'm going to speak up and look like a fool because here's you and you and you and no one says anything. And then it comes off and like the butt comes up and I'm like, I saw that. I was like, well, why didn't you say anything? Well, because we're all here and we're all like.
Why didn't he say something? It's like, because he wasn't looking for it.
So,
you noticed.
That can get you.
See it, say it.
Yeah, it can get you in trouble.
Real quick, so the halo, what's the halo effect? Which part? Who's the? I don't, because this is interesting.
So I'll tell my thing, and then you weigh in. It's just that it's when you're in an environment of high level performers, and you see something happening that doesn't look right.
Okay.
There's a halo around like the practitioner, I guess, because they're so qualified at what they're doing.
Okay.
And you're thinking to yourself, they know what's up. But also there's 3 other people. I think maybe it was in Crane School where we unpacked it. And there was like a rescue training scenario where somebody got jacked up pretty bad. And these guys were like world-class trainers. Okay, and it's because I think it might have been Stice talking about it. Dave Stice from Westboro.
That would make sense.
Or maybe Steve Canale or
He's
something
big
like
on that.
Because they both have a lot of that sort of high angle rescue type stuff, on rope rescue. But that's what it comes down to. It's like when you're in it would be like me. It would be like, example would be like, I'm on a job with Rick. He was out last week and I was slinging and cutting big stem out of the lift. It would be like, maybe Mason's out there and he's watching 2 guys with 40 plus years experience and he sees something's wrong and he's looking and he's like, this is my dad and Rick. They know what they're doing. And he doesn't say anything. And like one of the legs of the rope rips off or like my knot slips off. And he's like, I saw how close to the edge it was and I figured you knew what you were doing. And it wrecks the fence and hits the lift. And I'm like, well, why didn't you say, well, I just figured you and Rick knew what you were doing. It's that kind of thing.
Okay.
So the halo effect. Is that how you understand it? Like
So the way I read about it, it was talking about testing. So like a student taking a test. So if you had a stack of papers, like you were grading 3 papers from one person, the first one you did really well on, the next one he's going to grade it higher because of that first one. But if you switch up the process and put a bad one up top, that first one's going to get a worse grade because that first. Or the second one's going to get a worse grade
of the first one.
Because of worser paper was written or read first. The way your mind works, it's like, I saw that you're a good climber and you can do this, so I'm trusting that you're gonna be a good climber always. You know everything because you know more than me. I see it. So basically, like you see it. So right away, anything you're going to do, I can't possibly say anything because it's going to be better than what I say. So I won't say anything. Is that kind of... Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like meaning like if you climb and I see how well you are at it, in my brain is already saying, well, whatever you are going to do, there's nothing I can say because I'm not capable, right?
Yeah, so but in all actuality, we're all human. And we all make mistakes.
Well, that's true, but that makes sense to where.
Like, you see something, you know these people are good, so they have a halo over their head, and they can do no wrong. So you're not going to say anything because.
Okay. I haven't heard that before, so that's pretty cool. So. Yeah, man. We're in that spot where basically we're trying to figure out what is there something, because it puts a lot on the guests, but is there something that in these last 7 weeks that you've been thinking about getting into or doing moving forward from here? That's a very broad question, but
right now I'm just taking it slow. It's just like small gains. They add up to big things at the end, you know. Mm-hmm. Started out, I could load the dishwasher, and that was huge. Take a shower on my own.
There you go.
Even bigger.
I don't know. Some say showering not alone's not too bad either. Sometimes.
Depends the scenario.
All right, this is not that type of podcast.
No.
Anyway,
but yeah, I'm just making small gains. Just started driving, so that's huge.
Yeah,
having that independence back.
Yeah.
it's the same. Yeah.
Not waiting on rides like I'm 16 again, you know.
Yep.
Don't miss it.
That's tough. Yeah, you lost your freedom.
Yeah. Locked up in the house. Going in the office just to get away.
Yeah. It's crazy the things we take for granted, isn't it?
Everything.
Yeah.
And you know it, but until you lose it, you don't.
That's just the thing. We can sit there and we can philosophize about it all we want until we
until it's taken.
Until it's taken. And it's like I forget the guy. He shows up a lot on my Instagram feeds. Maybe he does for you too. It's he's a monk.
Yeah.
I forget his name. He gave a TED talk and all, but he says I saw him say a thing the other day. He's like, when you're healthy, you have 1,000 problems. When you're not healthy, you have one problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it really
is it Sadhguru?
Maybe. I don't know.
He's a good one.
He's a is he Taoist or I don't remember, but I've been finding myself like on his stuff.
Wise words from a monk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, and it's like the pace at which he speaks, the confidence with which he speaks. It's pretty cool. But no, it makes a lot of sense. Things get into hyper focus when something like that happens, which is also. I'll give a little plug to my website, my Paul Beester Consulting. It's just paulbeester.com. I wrote a thing on there, like a little blog post called The Fulcrum of Pain. And it talks about how these events are often huge leverage. I mean, you just went through one with your wife being sick and everything. And there's so many negatives that come out of it. But, if we ask the questions, the good questions about how can this, some of the most impactful people in life or some of the greatest stories that come out of people's lives are often after some watershed, like tragic moment where it just paradigm shifted their whole entire process.
Can't be great without some adversity.
Unfortunately, that is true.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
So
what's Jocko say? Good,
yeah.
Happened. Good.
Yeah, you know what happened? Good.
Yeah.
No, but good.
Yeah.
Good.
Move forward. I'm here. Could have been a whole lot worse.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That whole thing, that's one I show my team periodically. We have it on the back of some of our shirts. And I have it there as a reminder because I can get pretty poopy pants sometimes, pretty wrapped up around stupid crap that really doesn't matter. So that's a great. Here I am fidgeting with the thing too. I can't help myself. Yeah, let's all make Ben crazy. So I mean, I don't know how you're feeling. Do you feel like you want to feel like you want to land the plane?
Yeah.
How long have we been doing this? When did we start?
See, that's what happens. Welcome to the time warp.
You said, what's the
hell am I?
Hey, it's tomorrow.
What'd you give me?
Yeah, exactly. That thing, that drink you've been having.
There's mescaline in the coffee.
Exactly.
Peyote.
Yeah. I didn't know you partied like that, Paul.
Exactly.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
That's fine.
But no, just honestly, thank you for coming on. Thank you for friendship, brotherhood. Even though you have a setback at the moment, this is also something that with the group, I'm pretty, and it's in a way where elevates.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It elevates us. Not the incident, but keep us sharper. You know what I mean? So there's that. Like I said, I'm super happy you're still here because that's a legit. And for the listeners, just make sure you make it real. This is self-development plugging it, but make sure you connect with people that you work with. Make sure you hold each other to higher standards. And make sure you keep each other safe. That's it. That's really what I want to say to the whole thing.
No doubt. Yeah, same thing, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming in. There's a definite amount of courage it takes to be open and honest, but that's why we're all in the same circle. I think. Yeah. I think we resonate with each other. Because of it. So you're not, you are on social media.
Yeah.
What's your
on Instagram at Glenye.
Okay. At Glenye. So look Glenn up. You guys want to
post
connect.
A lot, but
But you're a stalker.
I'm a stalker.
Yeah.
I'll stalk you.
Also, Forrest Glenn, he put the sticker right there. So if you see that, look up Forrest Glenn. Also, just an incredible group of guys.
We are hiring.
Yeah. So
apprentices and some experience.
There you go. So
find our website.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Love you guys, man. Thanks for coming in. I guess we're gonna call that a wrap.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.